gentlemen, the Freaky Fast broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the WSSR VRS Cup Series. As Season 11 is upon us, drivers have already shown some incredible racing as we find ourselves here at Dover, the Monster Mile for race number 3 of the season. We found ourselves seeing a first-time winner in the WSSR VRS Cup Series all the way back at race 1 at Atlanta. Then we got to see the dominance of Ryan Kelly last week. Here tonight, Miles the Monster. How hungry is he? Been hearing from the drivers. This track is hot, it's slick, it's gonna be tough on tires, and we're excited to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me here tonight is Richard Wolsifer. And Richard, we're expecting this race to be a good one. 180 laps in total. Stage break at the end of lap 45, but with how hot I've been seeing this track, it is going to be a tough one all night long.
Yeah, these drivers are going to have a handful with trying to keep these cars as straight as possible, because not only is the track really hot, like you were saying, but it's also a concrete surface. And as we know, the concrete surfaces really destroy and eat the tires, which is why this track has gotten the nickname the Monster Mile. Miles loves to eat these tires up. They will be a high priority on resource, and we'll see who will have the most resources near the end of the race to be able to get the fresh tires and make fast charge to the front to try and win.
We've seen plenty of drivers trying to make some good rebounds. Currently, with practice underway, we got 3 minutes left. Top driver on the board is Shane Terrian in the 9 machine. Second is driver who came off his debut race last week at Rockingham. It's going to be Tanner Betha, who's going to be a driver who will have to start at the end of the line. One of the drivers hit with a lot of penalties last week at Rockingham, as the 78 had himself a cause of 2 or more cautions. That is an L1 penalty you're given, and as well, drove through too many pit stalls. That was an additional L1. Gets upgraded to an L2, where you have to start at the end of the line to start the race off, and as well a drive-through. A couple of other drivers also dealing with penalties. John Forbes, last season's champion, he drove through too many stalls, so he'll have to start at the end of the line. Thomas Green causing more than 2 incidences. He has to start at the end of the line. And then also Christopher Norris, who was given an L4 after intentional wrecking during the Atlanta race to start the season off. He was suspended for 1 race. We missed last week at Rockingham, and he'll be starting here tonight with the end of the line penalty. So those are 4 drivers that we know for sure will be starting at the end of the line. But up front, a lot of drivers that we know are favorites to watch out for. One of those going to be Ryan Kelly. Kelly is always known to be quick. He came up second last season. The season before that, he won here at Dover. And he's always going to be one of those favorite drivers that we know can get the victory done. A way that we've been hearing, tires are going to be important. We know this 3 is a favorite. But who are a couple of other drivers, Richard, you'd say are drivers to watch out for this evening?
Yeah, I mean, you got, like you said, Ryan Kelly. He's really good at saving tires. But, I mean, you got Gavin Rogers also, who came into WSSR 2 seasons ago, has made waves with how fast he has been, being able to keep up with some of the top drivers here as soon as he came in. Other drivers to potentially look out for is we got some newcomers that are pretty high in the iRacing standards. We got number 48 of Cosman. Very interesting last name, but he's going to be making waves today with the Lucky Ducks Motors, or Lucky Ducks Racing over there. And you got Brian P. Johnson, who can easily make a great surge here at Dover as well. So a lot of great drivers, and it's just who can master the concrete. And Ryan Kelly, he has always been the one to show us how it is to drive on concrete, and he'll be one to watch tonight for sure.
Dover is such a fun course to watch, from the high banks to the aggressive transitions off the exit of the corners. It is a lot to handle. Some say it's a roller coaster that you control, and it is one of those tracks where it's such a high drop of elevation from its highest point to the lowest point. It's about 3 stories that these drivers are going to be falling, and it has going to be a lot of control that you're going to be dealing with the drop, with the elevation change going up. We're going to see a lot of it here tonight, as well as a track that's known for low caution counts. The only time that we've had more than 3 cautions thrown was season 7. That was when we ran the old, kind of upgraded Gen 4 ARCA car that iRacing had accidentally put out, that we ran for a season. That race had over 15 cautions, but traditionally here at Dover with the WSSR VRS Cup Series, it is 3 or less. And last time we ran here, we had no cautions being thrown. We know at least one will be thrown here tonight with our stage break at the end of lap 45. The question is, how many more will be added to tonight's race? And with the low caution accounts that we could be seeing here tonight, that means track position could be key, and it starts here with qualifying. Drivers will be given 5 minutes to put down their fastest lap, but only 2 laps to do so. And with seeing this track and the way that it is, currently track temp going to be 128 degrees Fahrenheit with the ambient air temperature being 87 degrees. This is a warm track. It is a warm day. Wind is low, but Richard, this is going to be a tough course. It's just starting from practice into qualifying.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough course indeed. These cars are going to get really slick, going to be all over the place. The exiting of the turns is what these drivers are really going to have to be careful on, because the way that the banking are of these turns, it flattens out really quick. And the way these next-gen cars are with that flat underbody, it really upsets the car. It gets kind of grounds out a little bit, bottoms out a little bit coming out of the turn. And when that happens, it really likes to throw that car kind of for a loop. Another thing to watch out for is the wrecks. When wrecks do happen, then the cars kind of slide down the track, even on the straightaways, because even the straightaways are banked. But we're riding along right now here with the number 29 of Cole Sacchetti, and he's doing a really good job keeping the car off the track, and it looks like he will qualify currently. Sorry, I can't see that.
He's currently on one of his first laps for this 29 machine. He's on that warm-up time, looking for where he can be placed on this track. 7th on the board for himself as Drew Jula now takes the top of the board. Across the line for Cole Sacchetti. He's hoping to be topping. He'll move up inside of the top 5 for now into 4th position as Vincent Sora, another driver who feels very confident about tonight. He'll move up to 2nd, but there's Gavin Rogers, driver who knows get up front. He grabbed the pole here back in season 9. He has the pole currently with a 23.782 lap time for Mr. Rogers. As we see a couple of other drivers trying to get themselves rolling, here's going to be seeing Major currently out on track in the 82. How well can he attack going into this course?
Yeah, Manassi Major coming into this league, rookie for the WSSR VRS Cup Series, and he's been doing pretty good. Still, I think, has some stuff to prove here in this league, but still got some speed behind him as Gavin Rogers still maintaining the pole position. But Ryan Kelly's going to knock Vincent Sora off that front row, and he's going to take the 2nd place. He'll be starting outside pole currently, but Manassi Major going to put down his first lap here. It's going to be about a 25.081, not super fast. Going to be near the back there, but still has a chance as he puts down his going through lap 2, coming out of turn 2 right now. He's got to pick up a little bit more speed if he wants to start higher in the field.
Seeing the Majors Esports logo as the Majors setups the sponsor, Manassi Major, who will exit out of turn number 4, hoping for a good time for themselves. Where will they place? Was slowest on their first lap, 2nd lap, bouncing up to 22nd position with a 24.1 second lap time as Brian McCann, where did he come from? The 8 machine with a 23.735 second time. That is some quick pace for yourself, as other drivers hope to find that good speed. Got a couple waiting for the very last moment to get out on track. We've got a minute and a half left. Here's the 24 of Ali Fonseca, who's trying to continue on his run. Missed out on the first race of the season. He needs another good run here tonight. Nick Crawford moves up into 5th place. Tanner Bethel going to be currently 4th, with Ryan Kelly also up to 3rd. Top 5's looking quick as our last season's champion, John Forbes, going to be up to 2nd, but Forbes will have to start at the end of the line with an EOL penalty, but a great starting, at least pit box he's aiming for, up to 2nd by 1/1000th of a second.
Yeah, even though these drivers have got those EOLs to start, and we got a long list of them like I talked about earlier, qualifying will set where they their pit box is when they go to pit, and typically your further up pit box near the exit is going to be a major benefit when pit stops do happen. So a great run from John Forbes, going to knock Gavin Rogers off that front row, but with that penalty, Larry Yingling now will be in 4th, knocking Ryan Kelly down to the 5th position. A great lap by Larry Yingling as he's going to be starting in the 2nd row, which will actually put him up to the 1st row when John Forbes drops to the end. Ali Fonseca right here in the number 20 24. He's going to qualify 7th with a 23.841. A great lap from Ollie.
Here is going to be one of the newcomers' debut race for Cosman in the 48 machine, and getting to see a lot of affiliated drivers that are partnering up with Lucky Ducks, given a chance over here at the WSSR VRS Cup Series. Cosman excited to see where he's going to be placed. This 48 machine, not the fastest driver during practice, and will qualify 27th for now. So it wasn't as, I think, as quick as Cosman was hoping for, but we'll see where that speed ends up later on here tonight, because qualifying is over. We have less than 43 drivers showing up for tonight's race. That means everyone gets to race here tonight. We were close to seeing over 43, but luckily everyone's going to be able to race as we go into our warm-ups. Gives us time to take a closer look of how the season's been so far. Just only 2 races have been ran so far here in the regular season, but it's been a fun season already, with seeing the first-time winner of Joshua Kanata, Ryan Kelly, back into victory lane after going winless last season. And currently, it's Ryan Kelly, top of the board, as the 3 machine has looked quick. Gavin Rogers right behind him, with Vincent Sora back in 3rd place in points currently. I gotta say, though, Richard, this is aiming up to be a pretty fun season, just based off our 2 first winners of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild season for us to watch. I mean, it's already some of the top drivers that we have seen all season so far really showing themselves here in the points. Ryan Kelly, Gavin Rogers, Vincent Sora, John Forbes, and Shane Terrian, your top 5. And Shane Terrian, an impressive start to the season so far, 5th in points, our controller driver of the league, which is the only one that I know of that uses a controller over a steering wheel and pedal set. But these drivers are really making a great impact early in the season, and it's still got a lot of races to come. So a lot of those drivers that have not had a great start still have plenty of chances to make their way up to make it into the top 16 for the playoffs.
16 drivers are in, and currently that's Colin Carroll. That's at that BOA line. Everyone's trying to aim for where the rookie number 4 machine will finish here tonight. Here's how the season has started so far and how the schedule has been for this season. Now, 18 races are showing. Our last 2 races, we'll show them later on, but that's Richmond and Homestead. They're the final 2, but early in the season, we got to see first-time winner Joshua Kanata, Ryan Kelly back to victory lane after going to winless last season. But now we get to see Drew Jua with his pole that he grabbed at Atlanta last week. It was Seth Knoll, and now top of the board here tonight. Getting to see drivers sneaking their way forward. It's Brian McCann getting his pole this season. That is great to see. That's 3 races, 3 different pole sitters. We continue that trend. We'll see if we continue the trend of seeing a new winner if we see Ryan Kelly get stopped here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like so far we've got a great start like we did last season, where we had a different pole sitter for a good portion of the beginning of the season. So we're starting that trend off now, a different pole sitter yet again. So it'll be a great way to see if who else can get some pole positions the rest of the season. But I'm sure we'll have some repeat sitters. Gavin Rogers is typically one of the ones that are usually really fast in qualifying, but have yet to see him grab a pole position yet here in season 11.
I'm expecting maybe he can steal in about 2 weeks when we find ourselves at Portland. As we know, Rogers is very strong at the road courses, but with 2 minutes left in warm-ups, this is our time that we have our pick'ems. Who are drivers we feel like are storyline drivers, those that we feel like are going to be in victory lane at the end of the day. And I got to say, I went with the obvious pick of my favorite. I think he's going to go back-to-back this season. Ryan Kelly, he is on a storming mission after going winless last season. Why not go back-to-back? He's at one of his strongest racetracks running in the WSSR VRS Cup Series. I'm going with the 3 machine from Yin Yang Racing. But Richard, who do you have as a driver that you're picking for tonight?
You know, that was a fantastic pick, one that I completely missed when I was picking, but I'm going to have to go with Gavin Rogers, though. I know he's really strong here at Dover. He's one of his teammates in another league is really strong here as well, so he learns a lot from him. As long as Gavin can save the tires and get on the same strategy as some of those top-end guys, I think he has a really good chance at challenging Ryan Kelly and passing for that win tonight.
And our 3rd member of our group, want to say thank you for Ryan Productions in the background. That's Robert Moyer Jr., and he's going to go with a different pick, but not an absolute, out of nowhere pick. He's going with Cedric Hunter. Hunter has ran well in the past. He hasn't gotten gifted with the win yet here at Dover, but this 13 has found some very close chances to get into victory lane. I like this pick. That's going to be Robert's pick from Cedric Hunter from Snowy Desert Racing. Those are our 3 picks, drivers to watch out for. There are still plenty of others to watch out for as well before this race is over. 42 drivers registered up for tonight's race. Again, 180 laps, stage at the end of lap 45, 0 fast repairs, and 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. Got a feeling, Richard, all those sets are going to be used up, but in these first 45 laps, what are you expecting from the field here tonight?
I think the first 45 laps, I think we're going to see probably some of the most action we'll see all race. It's going to be a short run. It's going to be quick. This is 4 stage points, so probably going to have a lot of drivers that aren't really in dire need of stage points, just kind of want to test out and see what they can do on tire saving. But then you have drivers that know how to save tires really well in the long run. They're probably going to just run these tires as dead as they can and get up there into that top 10, get those extra points, and then work on the tire saving for the final long run stage of the race.
As the field scene warm-up time comes to a conclusion, that means it is about to be race time here this evening for race number 3 at Dover for season 11. We also want to say thank you to the title sponsor of the WSSR Cup Series for season 11. That's VRS. That's the Virtual Racing School. As well, we want to say thank you to GTR Simulators, Trophy Smack, Sim, Precision, Print, and lastly, we also want to say thank you to our camera providers to help us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting with Whiplash SimCams, who also is our sponsor for the biggest mover of the race. Here's your racing info, as it is just a 1-mile course in distance, 4 corners in total, but it is expecting this track to get very warm as we move on. The track is down to 121 Fahrenheit, and that is going to be something that we want to check out and see how that changes throughout tonight's race. As taking the top spot here tonight, getting his first pole of season 11, it's the number 8 of Brian McCann. To his outside, going to be set to the back, it's going to be the 1 machine of John Forbes Jr. As back in 3rd place in row number 2, we find ourselves with Gavin Rogers. In the 3-time champ, it's the 67 of Larry Yingling. Yeah, Larry's teammate of Ryan Kelly will be starting in 5th position, with Tanner Bethel going to be starting in 6th. Now, Tanner will also have a EOL, so he'll start at the end of the line in a drive-through penalty, so it's going to be a long evening for the 78. Ollie Fonseca will be up into 7th, but Nick Crawford 8th. 9th, we find ourselves with Brian P. Johnson, and finishing out the top 10, it's Vincent Sora in the 51.
Garrett Talmadge will be starting in the 11th position, and Drew Jew in the 77 for Lucky Duck in 12th. Shane Terrian at number 9 is starting in 13th, and Seth Noel starting just outside of him in the 14th position. Nick Renner showing up for the first time this season tonight at Dover will start 15th, and Cole Cichetti will be starting 16th on his outside. Brian Noel starting 17th in the 00, and Ross Tatum in the 21 will be starting back in the 18th position. Chris Stitz in 19th, and Ryan Bird rounding up the top 20 in the 49.
In 21st position, we find the 71 of Nico Garcia. Robert's pick, find the 13 of Cedric Hunter, going to be deep in the field in 22nd position. 23rd, we find Cody Reed in the 25 machine. 24th, a returning after his 1-race suspension. It's the 38 of Christopher Norris, who also will have an EOL to start this race off. In 25th position in the 40, it's Pete Sart, with Ken Campbell starting pretty deep in the field after his strong starts to this season. In 26th, 27th is Cosman. We're going to try his name another time. We're going to go to Joshua Kanata in 28th. 29th is Justin Malarkey. Munatsi Major in 30th. And then the rest of the field, you got it, Richard, as we will be given an extra lap to finish out the results here.
All right, Douglas Newby starting 31st in the number 7, and Martin G. Morales will be starting 32nd. Brad Delphin 33rd, and Ryan Rochelle, number 41, will be starting 34th. Tyler Dingler returning and starting in the 35th position, and Ben Keeney on his outside in 36th. 37th, we'll be seeing Joshua Corner in the number 2, and GT Irizarry to the outside of him in 38th. Zach Hall in the 39th position. Colin Carroll qualified 40th, but will be starting from the pits, it looks like. And Andrew Medlin in the 41st position. My name is up there. It is not supposed to be up there. I clicked the wrong button when joining the server.
Hey, you never know. Maybe we need an example of when everyone's in the pits on how to take a lap. As we've got ourselves 41 drivers registered for tonight's race. As, like Richard said, he's registered in, but he's up in the booth with me, hopefully enjoying the show for 180 laps here tonight as drivers getting prepared to go green here this evening. Stage break at the end of lap 45 if you're just joining us. I mean, in this race, these first 45 laps, so critical. You want to stay out of trouble, but so much knowledge can be built up on what you can do later on compared to tires, fuel, a lot of knowledge and numbers you're looking for. Drivers are going to be sent to the back again. Tanner Betha, as well as going to be seeing John Forbes Jr., Thomas Green, and Christopher Norris. Going to be those drivers that are sent to the back to start out this race. You also can see our ticker board, picture stage laps, and that will help us keep ourselves in the window of where we're looking at, coming closer and closer to the end of this stage. But Brian McCann, good to see the 8 machine up front. He's going to be having Larry Yingling to his outside. Nick Crawford now slots for that whole entire outside row, able to move forward as one. Curious on how, if you're Larry Yingling, starting now in that outside row, where is the aggression? Are you wanting to tackle for the lead? Or do you just sit there and wait for Brian McCann to fall away? Pace car is ready. We're into the restart zone, and race 3 is underway here at Dover. It's Brian McCann, Larry Yingling roaring down into turn number 1. The exit turn 2 is going to be critical as this track narrows up, but everyone looking solid through the center of the corner. Here we go up the exit. It's Larry Yingling looking good with the nose ahead.
Larry Yingling's got that outside lane. He's going to have the momentum and the speed coming off the turn. Even though Brian McCann's got the shortest way around the track, that outside gets some major momentum as they are side by side crossing the line. It looks like Larry Yingling will lead lap 1 as they dive into turn 1 for the second time tonight.
There's going to be a lot of different mentalities that we have here this evening. It's get up front, make a lot of big moves early on, and then save your tires, while others are thinking, save my tires, attack in the final 20 to 15 laps of a run. The top 2, they know how critical having the lead is. That clean air enables you to really save your tires a lot more cleaner than those that are stuck in traffic in the dirty air, and how that tightens up this car. As Brian McCann puts down the fastest lap, Larry Yingling still holds strong on the outside. Everyone else in the middle of the field trying to get at least single filed as quickly as they can, but the leaders, they have all the fight, and you got to be careful because that 3 machine is about to be hunting. If you stayed side by side for too long, they finally get in line, and it's Brian McCann who holds the top spot.
Brian McCann showing some great speed to start this race off, pulling the pole, and is able to get dominantly in front now in terms of Larry Yingling. We've seen some great speed over the past season or two from Brian McCann, and he's really shown it tonight, being able to pull the pole position off. But Ryan Kelly still lurking back there in the third. He's going to fall back just a little bit, but that's what Ryan Kelly does. He's working on saving those tires, working on that long run pace, so he can pounce when those guys' tires start slipping out from underneath them.
40 drivers took the green. Colin Carroll did not start tonight's race, and again, driver who had to go through with a drive-through. That's going to be Tanner Betha, who's going to be currently 1 lap down. So once this caution flag comes out, and if they're the only driver 1 lap down and not involved, they'll bring out yellow. Tanner could get back on the lead lap here very quickly, but you hate to see that for the 4 machine. That is not going to be good because they did not even finish 1 lap. That is 0 points. Even to the 4 machine as the rest of the field side by side. Seeing a couple of those trying to move forward. Here's Sherrick Talmadge, who's been on a tear on Monday nights for ISRC Larry R Productions Truck Series, currently leading the championship fight in that truck series as he's trying to find his way moving forward. Currently runs 11th here this evening, following the 88 of Seth Knoll. And gotta say, Richard, you and I both talked about it before we went live. This scheme that we're seeing from Knoll, excited to see a throwback Dale Earnhardt Jr. type scheme here tonight.
Yeah, that's got to be probably one of my more favorite modern Dale Earnhardt Jr. look-like schemes, and Seth Noel is bringing out that Dale Jr. nationwide look, and he's looking great doing it. Even got the 88 little design on the inside as well. Looks great there, but he looks like he's about to get passed from Jarrett Talmadge, who again has been showing a lot of speed here in the VRS Cup Series as well. Even though he leads in the ISRC, trucks do handle differently than the Cup cars, but he's able to use what he's learned over there to here, and is moving up through the field as he moves up into the top 10.
Moves up into the top 10. Also seeing the 28 of Brian P. Johnson able to get by Knoll, and seeing the 28 of Brian P. Johnson. He won this race back in season 2. Now that's a long time ago, back when it was season 2, and that was when Brian P. Johnson was one of the major threats to win a championship each and every year. He's trying to find that threat, and Worry is a big slide happening ahead of them. That's going to be seeing the 75 and Gavin Rogers in that next level machine. Big slide for himself, keeps it out of the wall, but lost some momentum. He'll fall outside. Actually, I take that back. That's Nicholas Renner in the 76 with a big slide, who will fall outside of the top 10.
Yeah, it's Nicholas Renner in the 76, again, making his debut show here in Season 11 for the VRS Cup Series. Got a little loose. Nick Renner is a very fast driver. One thing that I think he needs to learn, not necessarily at every track, but tracks like here where tire wear is very, very strong. Save a little bit of tires, wait for those longer runs before you start making your speed. But other than that, Renner is definitely a threat for the top 10 every single race.
As you're seeing the challenge going back and forth, both of those next level machines trying their best to move forward, as well as where do you want to slot yourself. As Ross Tatum got a very strong Rockingham run, trying to find his way to get forward as quickly as possible. And for Ross Tatum, with how well he ran last week, I mean, this is another one of those drivers where if he can find a way to protect his tires, watch out for later on in this run as we're 12 laps in. Starting to already see a transition as big slide. That's Nicholas Renner once again struggling off the exit of turn 4.
Yeah, it definitely looks like he's run those tires a little too much. They're starting to wear out very early in this race, not even 20 laps in. He's going to go to the inside and fall back heavy. He's got to let those tires cool down. That might be exactly what he's doing, just giving up the space now. Let those tires cool off, get a little bit more grip in them so he can at least compete and keep maintaining positions and possibly pass later on.
Trying to hold on is Pete Tart. Now going to be trying to get to the inside and go on by. You know, we talk about schemes and those that are eye-catching. That purple chromed out. Oh no, Tart! Runner, contact back up into the field, right in front of the 48, and our first caution of the day. Oh no, hold the brake as let the field drive on by. As the field, big scare early on, it's Nicholas Renner and Pete Tart getting together.
Yeah, it looked like Nicholas Renner got a little loose coming out of the turn, and Pete Tart just happened to be to the inside of him, and across his nose he came, and that'll bring out the first caution of the night. Pete Tart did slide back up into the field. I do believe he collected the 48 as well a little bit, but overall, everybody pretty much made it through with very little or minimal damage.
I think what driver I was concerned about was maybe the comeback up right in front of that's going to be Cosman. So a few others getting slight tags. Ben Keeney, who came rolling up into that incident, he came to a complete halt as other drivers went around, but just small taps all around. Got a little bit nerve-wracking on these runs, but I mean, that is what Dover brings out. It's those quick bang-bang incidences off the exit of the corner where we usually see these wrecks happen.
Yeah, and I think that's one difference is when you're running here at Dover with the WSSR VRS Cup Series is typically these tracks are really, really hot is what I've noticed from running with the guys also. So that can take a lot of drivers by surprise who haven't raced with here before. I mean, hotter tracks eat those tires up a lot more, and I think that's exactly what we experienced with Nick Renner. As you saw him again there. Just gets a little loose coming out of the turn, and it's just a product of wearing those tires down a little bit too early.
Couple of drivers entering pit road, some topping off on fuel, others getting damage repair, some checking out to see what they need to do to just maybe find some help in their cars. First of those that went it through was GT Rosario, just drove through pit road. Tyler Dangler decided to top off on fuel, and those that got damage repair are going to be the 72 of Brad Delph, Mark Morales, and the 91, Nicholas Renner. Cosman going to be also getting repairs. Tanner Betha getting some service done, and also Pete Tart going to get service done as well. I take that back. Tanner, actually, our Lucky Dog Award winner, back on the lead lap, and it was... We knew that this 78 needed a caution to get back on the lead lap, either at the stage or a little bit earlier. I think I'll take having a caution earlier on, so then you're racing those lead lap drivers to get more knowledge quicker in this race.
Yeah, take your damage on, get that good damage done and learn something from the drivers in front of you. It can definitely help you for the long run when we're going to have it later. You might not get stage points, but sometimes having your car at the end of the race, you'll get a lot more points than trying to worry about getting those 1 or 2 extra points and then ruin your car potentially and have to be parked and lose out on a whole bunch more points because of positions.
And drivers already making jokes as we're about to be going green this time by in their driver's text chat saying good luck wheel spin where you got to run only about 15 laps green flag racing, but with how hot this track is, already seeing drivers moving forward that protected their tires, those falling back if you didn't. This restart could be critical. Watch out on drivers trying to get onto the throttle and hope those tires can stick and they're not just going to be spinning when you hit the accelerator, because that could cause a calamity here at Dover. We've seen it in the past year in the WSSR VRS Cup Series. There are some moments where you have some restart wrecks that could be big ones. Can we keep it clean? Let's find out. Enter the restart zone. We're green. Once again, up front, it is clean sailing for now. And it is all Brian McCann taking off down into turn number 1. Already about a car length ahead over Ryan Kelly, as Kelly is on the march to take that top spot.
Kelly doing a great job getting up into the second position, now behind Brian McCann, who has led majority of laps so far from the pole position. Larry Yingling was side by side with him for a bit and led a lap or two, but it's been Brian McCann pretty much the entire time. But now he's got Ryan Kelly, the master of concrete, it seems, the best driver to be saving tires, right behind him, and he's going to be look to pounce as soon as he can to get up in that lead, get that fresh air, that clean air, so that car handles the best it can. Once you're behind someone, that car gets a little bit more tight than normal, so once he gets in front of Brian McCann, he'll pretty much be able to dominate this race and control it how he wants to.
Couple of other side-by-side moments. It looks like Ross Tatum, big slide for himself. He keeps it off that inside wall, continues to race on, as continuing to see these different shots to the middle of the field. Here's Robert's pick, the 13 of Cedric Hunter. He currently runs in 15th position, up 7 spots, making now 8 spots from where he started. Trying to get by Cody Reed in the Hot Wheels machine. And also the vehicle I was going to talk about, that shimmering purple chrome 71 of Nico Garcia, trying to make their way forward as quickly as possible, as Ross Tatum early slide here on this restart. Curious on how that's going to affect these tires as this run progresses, if you're willing to be more aggressive or back off, as there's that 71 machine trying to get by Cody Reed as quickly as possible, as up ahead of them looks to be seen still side-by-side battling, and finally able to make the pass. Gavin Rogers is able to stay ahead of Vincent Sora.
Ross Tatum ended up getting in the wall a little bit there coming out of the turn, and he fell back quite a bit, falling back by Cody Reed and Nico Garcia. So a little scary moment for Ross Tatum, but he's able to gather the car back up and start moving back forward. But Gavin Rogers now currently looking to the outside of Larry Yingling, going to try to make that pass, but he's just going to fall in suit as they exit the turn. Right up on his bumper, he had the run, but not enough space to make a move. And the looks like almost looks like they're going to try to take it 3 wide, but nope, still straight coming out of the turn. And Gavin's going to make another attempt to try to pass Larry Yingling. Going to look low, going to make the pass going into turn 3 underneath Larry Yingling for 3rd place.
As seen Gavin Rogers, Larry Yingling side by side. Yingling still runs on the top end, and he'll keep that nose ahead. Vincent Sora seeing maybe that's the position he needs to be, and attempt once more on the outside groove. Rogers still holds steady. This is all battling for that 3rd place position as Brian McCann continues to pull away from the rest of the field. Kelly looks to be kind of all right with running in 2nd position, as other drivers continue to go back and forth. Some of our biggest movers in the top half of the field. Again, in 18th place, it's Joshua Kanata, up 10 positions for himself. John Forbes, who had to start at the end of the field for the 1, he's up to 21st position, and you can see the 1 machine in that blue outside trying to find any way to move forward. He qualified 2nd, but had an end-of-the-line penalty carried over from last week with driving through too many pit stalls during that Rockingham race. Multiple drivers hit with that penalty, and it's the one who is stuck in the middle of all this field, which is probably the most dangerous place to be, but you can tell for John Forbes, he knows he's quick, but it's have to find the patience to be willing to get through this field safely so you don't grab any extra damage that's not necessary.
And if anybody is patient, it is definitely John Forbes. We've seen him go to the back of the field and work his way up through the field as cleanly as possible. I mean, even back in Rockingham, he got involved in a few wrecks, but was still able to get the car repaired and move back up towards the front. But he's doing a really good job making the moves as smart as he can to keep out of trouble and not get involved with anybody or spin out. And he's working his way little by little to try to get back up to the front from getting that EOL.
In a blink of an eye, speaking of up front, Ryan Kelly to the top spot. Went from being okay with being about a half a second back from Brian McCann to within a lap and a half, ran him down, and probably was one of the easiest passes you could ask for. The 3 hitting his mark and take off and go. Clean air for Ryan Kelly. Ryan McCann got to be a little bit worried for the 8, mainly because he built up such a lead in just 7 laps, but you could tell that aggression on the tires backfires. As talking about backfire, Larry Yingling with the bit of a slide for himself. That will give up the 4th place position to Gavin Rogers, as also Vincent Sora is on the charge to try to run down our top 2.
Yeah, Gavin Rogers had fallen back 2 or 3 positions, also trying to make passes, and just kind of got passed on the outside by quite a few drivers there. But with Larry Yingling slipping up out of the turn, it allowed Gavin Rogers to get back up to the 4th position. And he's going to follow Vincent Sora right now around the track, try to save some tires, what it seems like. That's one thing Gavin is constantly trying to learn, how to better save tires for longer runs, and he's done a lot better keeping up with Vincent Sora right now. But Nick Crawford now making some passes and making his presence known as he gets into the top 5.
Makes that pass, able to move forward for Crawford, but behind him, you've got some fast drivers. I know for Lucky Duck Motorsports, they're loving to see this. It's Drew Jua, it's Seth Knoll. They're now on their pounce to attack as they slowly are taking positions away. Other drivers behind them that are trying to keep up. Ryan Noel, going to be back in 11th place. He's able to get by Shane Terrian, and slowly but surely starting to see more and more Lucky Duck drivers taking positions away and moving forward. Seth Knoll up 8 positions, Drew Jua up 5. They're finding that good speed to be moving forward.
Yeah, Lucky Ducks has really filled their roster out with a ton of really fast drivers, and they're making their moves. They're definitely more of a late run drivers, as they're making the moves now, trying to catch up to these top 4 who have seemed to have pulled away now, as Gavin Rogers has passed Vincent Sora. He's now up to the 3rd position, but we got a big group of cars behind this front 4 that they're trying to get it together and try to make their way closer and closer to make a run and charge to try and win this stage.
Trying to find every point possible. Again, only the top 10 at the end of our stage. At the end of lap 45 is when that stage will end, unless there's a caution between lap 40 and 45. That will also count as our stage ending. But you want to make sure you're inside of the top 10. Currently, that 10th place position is Ollie Fonseca in the 24. Seen a couple of other great battles going back and forth, but up front, 2nd place, it is the hard-charging Gavin Rogers, able to get by Brian McCann, and now in a 2nd position within a half a second of Ryan Kelly. And it looks like for Rogers, he just has found some inkling of speed. There's so much more than everyone else, as we take her right along with the 75, who's on the charge to catch up to Kelly.
Yeah, Gavin is doing a fantastic job closing that gap. He's up to 2nd now, taking a very interesting line. He's kind of diamonding the corner. He'll dive low, let the car drift up in the middle of the turn, and that'll give him a straighter drive off the turn, which helps this car be a little stable on these exits, because you're exiting on the less banking instead of the big hill that kind of drops out of the turn. So he's doing a really good job driving that car as straight as he can off the turn, which is giving him that speed and that run down the straightaways to catch Ryan Kelly as he's closing that gap little by little.
Little by little, still within 4/10 is the difference between 1st and 2nd. Vincent Sora riding right on the back bumper as yellow flag is out. Trouble further back in the field, and it's going to be the 29 of Colsa Caddy on the back stretch. This looks like he gets caught up in a 3-wide battle as the returning driver of Christopher Norris puts it 3 wide, and it went all wrong for the 29.
Unfortunate to see for Sacchetti kind of getting involved in a 3-wide situation. Not the best thing to happen here at Dover with how these cars react, but right now we're just riding along with him. Not really 3-wide here. There it is, 3-wide Norris going through the middle of him and Kanata, and just gets right hooked up into the wall from Norris. Unfortunate to see. It's probably going to be a lot of damage for that number 29 machine.
Those guys were racing just outside of the top 20, so there was still a lot of racing to do, as that was our first caution, seeing the 40 machine go for his slide. But this does not count as the end of our stage, but this does give strategy. If you want to pit early and try to get track position, once the stage yellow comes out, this is your time to pit. And a couple of drivers taking that chance. Pit road's calling for Ross Tatum, John Forbes, as well as going to be seeing Tanner, Betha, Chris Stitz, all deciding to get some tires and fuel before this stage is over. I mean, it's a gamble to get track position once this stage is done, as this next restart will be our final restart of the stage. But I mean, Richard, there's positives and negatives, but track position does seem to be a very important thing to have here at Dover.
And track position, it can be very important, but so can new tires. And Larry Yingling pitted from the top 10. And going into the pits, Larry Yingling spun backward. We missed that, but he was sitting backward at pit entrance and has lost a lot of ground now. He is just now getting into his box to get tires. Unfortunate for Larry Yingling, who was running up at the top 10.
And it looked to be confusion of who wanted to come into pit road and who didn't. Yingling waited until the very last moment. You're going to see him duck down as Noel decides he doesn't want to pit and takes out the 67. That's that weird spot and kind of the hope you give space, but you don't, between two drivers that were both making very late decisions.
Yeah, that is one downside about trying to do the fake outs for pits, is you're going to run into situations like that. And it's not necessarily the drivers doing it intentionally. It's just, when you're down on the apron, it's a shorter way around the track. You're typically going to get right next to the guy who's not trying to pit. So the last minute decision from Larry Yingling and then the last minute decision not to pit from Noel, and they just kind of come together, sends Yingling backward, and he lost all that track position. He's going to be at the end of the field.
As he will be Yingling back in a 35th, now 36th position. He's got a long road to climb back up inside of our top 10 to back inside of the top 5. We have lost a few drivers and have called it an evening. Pete Tart is calling it a night. He has left the server. Ben Kinney also looks to be calling it an evening, or at least we'll be sitting in pit road for extended time. Nicholas Renner also continues to sit in pit road after his first incident of the day. We're still waiting on when Colin Carroll, if he can get his technical issues fixed, if he can try to get out there. I know he's been going back and forth, joining the server, exiting the server, the Force trying to at least get some points before the night is over. But this is the final restart of the stage. We find ourselves with Ryan Kelly. Gavin Rogers going to be the front row as we take off and go. And Gavin Rogers, another mistake on restarts. We saw this in Atlanta, and it happens here at Dover.
Oh, unfortunate restart for Gavin Rogers. Gets a little too excited and loses a ton of ground. But in second place, he's going to fall all the way back to, it looks like, the 7th place position. But unfortunate to see for Gavin Rogers.
And we're going to wait and see, as with the timing of that issue, it was Vincent Sora. I see it go by. It was given a black flag, but it has been cleared. So Vincent Sora does have to give up his positioning. But another driver got a big issue on that restart. It was going to be the 27, Jared Cohen. Big slide through 1 and 2 because of everyone checking up. Loss of about 10 positions for that 27 machine, but with these laps ticking away, Ryan Kelly, pretty comfortable spot with Brian McCann trying to woo his way back up to that top position. As you see other drivers going back and forth. This is the battling currently going on just outside of that 10th place position. The 00 of Brian Noel is that last driver to get bonus points at the end of the stage. Is Ollie Fonseca, big wiggle, slide, 3 wide, 24 to the outside wall as everyone else scoots on through. And now 10th place will be Nico Garcia as the 424, just a massive loss of all that time.
Yeah, massive loss of position. Ollie Fonseca did a great job keeping that car straight, even though he bounced off the wall quite a few times. So he's going to have a little bit of damage, but the 21 of Ross Tatum taking it 3 wide. 4 cars in a turn by Ross Tatum, a fantastic move, and he's not done yet as he takes it low on Shane Terrian.
Hey, if you were ever curious on what fresh tires look like and you go full bore, here is Ross Tatum from 25th position up to now battling for 7th. Give him now up to 6th place. Tatum does not care, 0 care in the world. Main reason why, he took these tires aiming for massive stage bonus points. He's going to be finding himself being about 2 seconds back. Not enough time for the stage win, but at least getting inside of the top 5. It's highly possible for the 21 as we take the last lap of the stage. Drivers further on back are getting into one another, but Tatum, what a move by this 21 machine who comes sliding up into Knoll. Now has to back off for a slight second, but give him at least 2 more spots, maybe even a 3rd as he moves into the top 5.
This is the resources we were talking about. Ross Tatum is sacrificing some resources by burning these tires to the end. Like he's just driving like Superman on these fresh tires, and drove all the way up to the 5th position from 25th, 4th position. from 25th on the restart. That is what new tires can do for you, and that's the resources he chose to use to get some fantastic bonus points at the end of that stage.
6 laps up 21 positions. What a run. And what did his other competition do for Ross Tatum that took tires? They all maybe moved up 1 or 2 spots. Everyone else that took tires said we are protecting our tires to make sure that we can make them last after this run is over. Tatum said, hey, I've got 3 more sets still sitting in pit road. Why not use one to get some big bonus points? And those are some great ones to grab, as will be Kelly, Brian McCann, Vincent Sora, Ross Tatum, your top 4 with Seth Knoll, Kevin Rogers, Nick Crawford, Drew Jua, Shane Terrian, and Zach Hall. Going to be grabbing all your bonus points here at the end of this stage, as now pit road is calling, and it's Ryan Kelly into pit road.
And very shocking, Ross Tatum will stay out on those tires. That's interesting call. I mean, I guess he's trying to save tires for the later run, which is understandable, but he's going to lose a lot of time. Give it about 5 to 10 laps. He's probably going to lose a lot of positions. And Ben Keeney, got a little bit of an update from him. Apparently his CPU is having issues, so that is why he is not able to continue racing with us. So hopefully he gets that issue solved before the next race next Wednesday.
As Kelly goes into pit road, our stage winner. And these tires, fuel. I mean, I think the biggest shock for those that maybe pitted for fuel and tires under our last caution is not all of them coming in for fuel, but I've been hearing also the report of the fact of tires, they have a higher chance of going away before you even get to the end of your fuel run. So why not just stay out there if you know that you're not going to be taking a set of tires as Kelly exits out. Going to be 7th on the leaderboard, first of all those that got done with their pit stops. And let's see if we can talk to this 3 machine after his incredible run there to the end. Ryan Kelly's been looking strong, and let's see if we can queue up the 3 machine. Ryan, it's Sam and Richard up at the booth. You got us?
I got you.
Well, stage winner, this has been one of your best tracks in this series. How are you feeling, and how's the car feeling so far here tonight?
Yeah, feels good. Started 5th, started up front, so had good track position there for the first stage, and figured on staying out the whole time. So worked out good, and hopefully we can get up back to the front here at the end.
Yeah, it kind of looks like you were just a master of Dover almost is what it seems. Fantastic late run speed and pace. Were you getting a little worried? Did Gavin start closing that gap a little bit before that final caution before the end of the stage?
Yeah, I was definitely getting nervous. They were getting bigger and bigger in the mirror, so I was just trying to see what they were doing, and hopefully we can match them here at the end and come out on top.
Once again, Ryan, congratulations on the stage win. We'll send you back to your team, and hopefully we'll be talking to you at the end of the night.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you.
Again, that's going to be your 3 machine of Ryan Kelly from Ying Yang Racing. But for this upcoming restart, we got some new names that are going to be up front. Ross Tatum, who we saw be the hard charger there late in that stage, currently will be the lead driver on this restart, but he'll have John Forbes to his outside. Then you got Chris Stitz in 17, Hunatsi Major in 4th with Joshua Kanata, who was caught up in our first incident of the day. In a couple of incidences he's been trying to avoid here this evening. And then Larry Yingling, who had the issue, got spun around under the screen, under the pit stops 2 cautions ago. See how this 67 wants to march his way forward. Fresh tires, 7th on back. As pace cars into the pit road, we enter the restart zone, and we are green. A little bit of wheel spin happening for Larry Yingling on that outside row, but it's all Ross Tatum, John Forbes down into turn number 1.
Yeah, great start from John Forbes actually on that outside as he's going to challenge Ross Tatum. But that's the difference of the 5 laps of abused tires from Ross Tatum. And John Forbes seemed to have babied them a little bit more for that run, and which was probably the smarter decision if you weren't going to get points, as he's going to have a little bit more pace and speed. But Larry Yingley's getting back into pace, and the cars are kind of driving all around him, but they're straightening out, and it's time to get settled in. A long way to the end, 130 laps to go here at Dover tonight.
A little bit of red versus blue action going from 6th on back is seeing Ryan Kelly, Seth Knoll trying their best to stay up ahead as Nazi Major, older tires, going to be one of the first drivers really falling back, not able to hold their position. And that's just a difference on 10 laps, more so of around 7 laps of green flag racing on your tires. But already a huge difference just on a handful of laps being ran of green flag hard racing. It is crazy to see what some of these drivers are already dealing with handling wise. And Richard, we're just seeing this 82 fall back quicker and quicker right into the clutches of this 2x2 action. This 82's got to be careful with everyone around him.
Yeah, he's definitely got to be careful. It is a Hornets S back there. Is get a little bit of a bump behind them. It looked like it was the number 7 machine. Got into the back of a potential teammate, but they all keep it straight. No caution. Cars are kind of all over the place, though.
Yeah, that was the 77 of Drew Jua making contact to the 7 at Douglas Lubick, and everyone kind of checked up right into the corner. And it was on Duck Motorsports drivers that were running into one another, and luckily they all keep it pointing straight with those big slides. Going to hurt the tires for the long run as we hop on board with 22nd position runner. That's the 12 of Andrew Medlin, as he's currently about a little bit less than 5 seconds off of our leader. He's saying everyone strung out now with those big slides. That kind of helps the field out for a long run, because the more space there is, the more spacing, and not feeling like you're going to rush to make big moves, which is great for long green flag racing. But if you're wanting to make a lot of passes quickly, you're now in a tough spot for some of these drivers 20th on back.
Yeah, you definitely are, and we're actually starting to see the difference in newer tires as well. Manazzi Major, one of the drivers on older tires, he is falling like a rock as he's getting passed by everybody. Curtin being looking to be passed by Brian P. Johnson. But Zach Hall right here, the number 32 machine, doing a really good job sitting behind Larry Yingling currently. The drivers are kind of straightening out. Single file racing at this moment. They all know they've got a long way to go, and they've got a lot of tires they need to save. And I think that's the mentality of everyone from front to back, is to save their tires and drive as long as they can before they have to pit for either fuel, or when you get a black flag with the orange dot, the meatball flag for a flat tire.
Yeah, that required damage flag where you have to be forced into pit road. It's a tough flag to grab. And, we talk about tires all throughout this already in the first 57 laps of this race, but also damage. The outside wall, it is something that is crawling out. Feels like it reaches out to you at times coming off the exits of these corners. But Richard, it is so easy to just misjudge one corner, and you get so much damage that your race can be over with just one contact of the outside wall.
You really can. You can get a little loose going into a turn when you try to correct. The car just wants to snap and shoot your car to the outside wall head on, and that will pretty much ruin your night. That's almost an instant engine expiration moment. So hope that doesn't happen. The guys have been doing a really good job keeping these cars pretty stable. Not a lot of loose driving except for coming off the turns, the exits there. We've seen a few incidents like that of Nick Renner who got into oh my goodness, Pete Tart, number 40 there. But so they're doing a really good job. We've got a lot of cars here still side by side here in the back with Ollie Fonseca, almost 3 wide, but the only 2 wide racing we see currently back here with Ken Campbell and Ollie Fonseca with this group right here.
Don't feel bad. I'm feeling the same way with words and names tonight. We are all trying to make it through Dover. It's been a tough track for some of these drivers as we're watching Ken Campbell. Not really the best qualifying run we've seen from the 15 machine, as he is trying his best to march his way forward. Also seeing a couple of other drivers ahead of him. Just where can you place yourself currently, as this is all the battling outside of the top 20. And you're seeing Ollie Fonseca, Ryan Bird, they continue to stay side by side. Also, Jared Tallmadge with a big slide coming to the end of the stage on that last restart before the stage ended. And 27, I mean, all that time lost, where can he regain that? It could come down to strategy later on, maybe a lucky caution, and really change the day for Jared Tallmadge. Some drivers I haven't really talked about here in the first 60 laps. Here's Tyler Dangler in the 19, as he's being pressured by Brad Delph, and it's the drivers racing for outside of the top 30, basically the race for last, and the 19 third and the 72 got to be careful. But with drivers further on back, this is where we're seeing that major difference on different braking or slowdown points that drivers have.
Yeah, every driver is going to have a different point where they turn in, a different point where they brake and accelerate, and it's just how they feel comfortable, what they think they can do to make these cars faster. Because in the WSSR Cup Series, it is a fixed setup throughout the field. All the drivers are running the exact same setup on the cars, so it's all in the driver's hands. They have to figure out what they can do different to get around the other drivers. It's all driver skill, really, is what we say. So I mean, it's something you gotta, worry about. Different braking positions. Right there's the 72, a huge dive into the turn to get under Dingler, but they're going to be side by side coming out of the turn. That was almost a dangerous move. They kept it straight and off each other, though. Good work by both of them.
We talk about rivalries and watching drivers that are fighting for the win. We see scrappy bump and runs that go wrong. There's rivalries billowing up deeper in the field. It looks like Brad Delp and also the 19 of Tyler Dangler, they might have their own little beef going back and forth as Ducati able to slice his way forward. Christopher Norris, who we saw the troubles earlier on, who got his one race suspension and missed out on racing at Rockingham. He's back for his second race of the season. The 38 working further on back in 36th position. This is an odd place to see this 38 machine, who we're used to seeing at least running, battling to be inside of the top 20, at times battling to be inside of the top 10. Struggling here this evening as the 91 of Mark Morales running all the way back in 37th position. Last driver running out on track as trying their best. Yeah, Larry Yingling still floundering on those older tires, runs in 15th position, and currently getting passed by Shane Terry and Nico Garcia. Also seeing Tanner and also going to be seeing Drew Jua doing their best to get by this. Oh no! Nico Garcia! Tanner! Huge contact on the inside. We stay green, but that was a huge... Oh no, Tanner! Oh no, the 78 didn't even think about the other competition and wipes out the field.
Oh, that is not a good look for the number 78. You gotta pay attention to your relative in the field coming from behind. And he just involves more cars that didn't need to be involved. Oh, you hate to see it, especially for Nico Garcia also, who got involved in that, who has not had a great start to this season, who's been in a wreck in almost every single race now at this point.
And we're going to try to get the quick replay of this incident. Betha, Garcia, they're trying to find a way to get through. I don't know if there was contact that got Garcia loose that pushed him up high, and then I don't know. I'm just confused. I get that there could have been a broken steering wheel there, but even if you had a broken steering wheel, attempting to slow down would have been your best decision. Just wasn't the case in 78. I don't even know if we continue to grab more drivers or not, as it's like a different look of this incident. And just, I don't know if you can see it on your end, Richard, but it is close between the 78 and 71 off the exit of the corner.
Yeah, and even so, like, even if your steering's broke, you can't even see him turning the wheel there. It might have got disconnected, possibly. I mean, that's because this steering wheel's not even moving at all, as we can see. So, but either way, like, even if your steering's broke, the brake pedal still works. Get on the brakes and slow down. Get that car stopped so you don't involve. But yeah, right there you can see the steering wheel just locks up and goes completely straight. I think that was a complete disconnection of his steering wheel pedal set.
Just collecting more drivers than necessary, and you hate to see that. And it just letting the car go in its own way. Finally comes to its own halt after getting into the wall, and for Tanner, that's the end of his night. Coming off of not the best debut race you could have asked for. Got a finish that was impressive with how much carnage he was involved last week at Rockingham, but that is not the way that you want to be exiting out of Dover. So that'll be another driver who we're expecting to be done here this evening. But up front, team drivers that have decided to make pit stops, others that didn't. Going to be seeing Drew Jua, Jared Talmadge deciding to stay out. I think this might have been a decision on trying to lead a lap. Not going to be the case in the 77 and 27. Going to be on 22 lap old tires compared to John Forbes, Ryan Kelly, who've got some freshies sitting right behind them.
Yeah, some fresh tires sitting behind them. This is where tire strategy is going to be different throughout the field. And we're going to see, who's going to come out on top with this strategy. Because, I mean, it's spending some resources now to get your track position or keep the resources to keep your track position. But Drew Jua, Jarrett Talmadge, they're electing to stay out. 22 lap old tires, I think they are going to fall like a rock through this field with everybody else on freshies.
It's, again, patience on the rest of the field behind them, but also hoping that you can hold a steady position on where you're going through. We'll see how this run goes on as Drew Jua, Jared Talmadge get ready for this restart. I want to say thank you again to the amazing sponsors of VRS, GTR Simulators, Trophy Smack, Sim Precision Prints, and Whiplash Sim Cams as we get ourselves ready. Another restart here at Dover. Race number 3 of first season 11 is back underway. A great launch on the inside, but it's John Forbes already attempting to pass before they even get to the line. The one to the lead position in a blink of an eye.
And that's what fresh tires will do. John Forbes to the front of the field on those fresh tires, followed quickly by Ryan Kelly. I mean, Drew Jewett, Jarrett Talmadge already losing 2 and 3 positions each almost. Like I said, they're going to fall quick as the 21 is now making a pass. He's up to 3rd position as they cross the line.
And that was a caution that the 21 of Ross Tatum really needed. Again, he really used up those tires coming to the end of the stage, and he needed this caution to get back on the same set of tires as the rest of the field. Now this is going to be a true sense, I think, for our top 3 on where they will line up. Technically, our top 4. They are fast drivers that are getting by Drew Jewett, Jarrett Talmadge. This reset's going to be great, but they're going to be 3 wide exiting out of turn number 4. Talmadge, huge save in the middle as he was able to keep that thing smooth. Any type of a wiggle could have been a big wreck as the 77-27 continue to try to run on the inside, let their competition breeze on by as Drew Jewett just ducks almost to the apron to let the field drive on through.
Oh man, it's the downside when you have not enough pace to keep up with anybody around you. It's so hard to get out of the way. You know there's faster cars behind you, but I mean, it's their job to get around you cleaner. But Drew Jewett is doing a good job trying to stay out of their way, give them the space, knowing that he does not have the speed that they do on fresh, brand new tires. As he's getting caught up now by the 27 and his teammate number 7. We'll see if these two can stay off each other this time as they got into each other during that last green flag run.
Going to be seeing that 77-27, both going to be staying in line. So at least you know where the 2 drivers are trying to get by are as they stay close. Drew Jewett trying his best to keep as many positions as possible just in case a late caution comes out here. Speaking of caution, well, there's a spin. It's Brad Delph in the 72 going around.
Brad Delph getting around, coming out of turn 2, gets loose. Might have had a little bit of help. We'll have to see on the replay here, but...
Hey, we talk about rivalries? How about the 19 giving the help and assistance? These two can't get away from one another, as this was the other caution that came out, but it's the 72 and going to be seeing the 19 get together under this caution as they were exiting out of the corner. Is Brad Delph trying to assist his way out the exit of the corner and gets tossed around. This is watching that last wreck. This is the replay we're on. Probably be best to go live and then go backwards from there. But it's one of those things where, Richard, I mean, drivers are stacking up and there's just nowhere really to go.
Yeah, I mean, coming out of turn 2, it's always gets a little tight and loose also. It's a very strange feeling, tight and loose. But, I mean, the cars naturally drift up the track, and because of that bump, they get a little loose. But you hate getting a little bit of help also from behind. And, yeah, we were seeing it earlier. Brad Delph did a huge dive down on the 19 of Tyler Dingler earlier in the race. And I think Tyler Dingler was just kind of might have been a little tired of it and might have gave him a little bit of a bump and sent him around coming out of the turn.
A small tap assistance going to be spending around. Brad Delph still in the race. Dangler as well still in the race. The admins decide after this run is over on where they will run. We got a couple of more drivers calling it an evening, joining the likes of going to be Pete Sart, Ben Keeney. It's going to be Tanner Betha calling it a night, Nico Garcia calling it a night. Ken Campbell still out of this race, and this is going to be the incident that brought out the yellow as they were going side by side. Delph trying to get by this 19, and they've been fighting back and forth for the past 30-40 laps. Delph with a big dive bomb move, tries to cut in front of going to be Dangler, and Dangler didn't cut any favors, keeps his foot in the throttle, and around goes to 72.
Yeah, it actually kind of looked like Delph was just in line there, and Dingler was coming up the track and just did not have the space to do so. And that's just, I mean, it's one of those hard decisions right there to make. It's hard to see the nose of your car sometimes, and it's not like he got him in the quarter panel. He literally got him right in that rear bumper. You could see it was a pretty square hit there also. I think that was just a misjudgment of coming up the track, did not realize that he was not clear.
That is that's going to be what brought out this most recent yellow. Again, able to come into pit road. It was an opportunity for Drew Jewett and Jarrett Talmadge. I don't know if this is going to be a shock, but neither one of them taking that chance to go into pit road. They've still they still have 3 sets of tires in pit road to work with. I'm shocked by it, but Richard, I'm curious on your thoughts on still staying out there on 30 lap old tires.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough decision right now to make. Right now the tires are eventually going to kind of plateau throughout the field. But like they've still got track position for the most part. If they come into pit, they'll be sitting back in like 34th, 35th position, and that's just a twice as many cars they've got to pass to get back up to the front. So I mean, they're probably trying to nurse those tires to wait for the equalizer there later in the race where the tire kind of degradation plateaus a little bit for everybody, and then they can keep back up and not have to worry about passing a ton of cars again.
See, once we go green, getting closer and closer to that halfway point of this race, we'll take a look at our Whiplash SimCam's biggest mover of the race. But for now, up front, it's John Forbes Jr., Ryan Kelly going to be your top two. As green flag is out of the air, it's going to be Brian Noel on the outside. He did not get going. Fourth car on the outside, but Forbes, great launch, already a car length ahead over Kelly as the one machine wants to show dominance early on. Going to be seeing Nick Crawford, Ross Tatum, Ryan McCann. Where will they slot themselves as our top three are all in line?
Yeah, starting to get in line for the top three, and that's exactly how you want it to be. If you're driving side by side, you're using more of those tires. You're wearing them down a little bit more. These top three, they know that. They're going to drive straight in line, not worry about too wide racing is what they're doing behind them. But John Forbes, a dominating lead right now, but Kelly is right there in his shadow, chasing him down the tire tracks. Going to see who can save the tires the most. Ryan Kelly usually comes out on top like this, but John Forbes doing a fantastic job maintaining his lead currently.
There is our Whiplash SimCam's biggest mover of the race. It's Zach Hall, currently up 32 positions for the 32 machine. If you're on iRacing and you want some great quality cameras, head on over to Facebook and check out Whiplash SimCams today to get great angles for photos or for broadcasting. As you're seeing Zach Hall ripping the top, trying to find these positions to get by. It looks like he wants to try to find a way to get by Ross Tatum and follow in suit with McCann and also going to be Nick Crawford. But that outside row starting to stall out as Brian Noel making his charge in the 00 on the inside.
And Brian Noel finally starting to get his nose and his name up here in the top 10, chasing down Zach Hall right now, but doing a really good job. Really has been kind of quiet today, but it's time to start making moves. Time to start getting that track position to move your way up, because these cautions, I mean, we've seen quite a few of them tonight. You never know when the next one will come out. And track position is everything here, because if you're up there with everybody, you can pit with all the leaders and you'll all be on the same tire strategy then, and then it's just who's faster. So doing a really good job and just kind of taking it easy, not trying to wear those tires down like the guys in front of him, still driving too wide.
Still too wide. It's Ross Tatum staying on the inside as he loses another position. Will the 21 fight back? They will do in the center of the corner. Looking at other drivers that have been making some big moves forward outside of the top 10. Running in 12th place, you got Shane Terrian. He's trying to find his footing to move forward, but it's Joshua Kanata, Douglas Newbigging, big movers of those drivers. Up 15 spots is Kanata, even with being around damage. Douglas Newbigging, who we saw with big slide, he's still in the fight. He's up 17 spots from where he started in. Douglas Newbigging, a former winner here at Dover, won back in season 7. That was an utter dominance late race run by the Lucky Duck Motorsports team as they had their first 1-2-3 finish that day. And tonight, they get those drivers up front with strategy. We can see, because a lot of these Lucky Duck drivers have been around one another. If the timing lines up, they could be in control like they were back in season 7.
Yeah, Lucky Duck drivers, they all tend to drive around each other all the time. They've all about equal skill is what it seems like, because majority of the race, you do see two or three of them together for a lot of the time. So kind of what they are, doing a great job of the 88, making a move on the outside of the number 7 of Douglas Newbigging at the moment. But these guys are doing a really good job. They're staying off each other, unlike earlier, like the 7-77 did. But that 88 trying to make that move on the outside to get in front of Douglas, and he's just not able to get past completely clear, and he finally clears him out of the turn 4. 2.
See the rest of the field single filing out. Again, thank you so much to all the amazing sponsors that help out here for season 11 of the WSSR VRS Cup Series. VRS, the virtual racing school. Head on over to virtualracingschool.com to check out all the things that they can help you with. From giving you giving you telemetry on how you run your laps here on iRacing to getting helpful notes on how you can drive better. They've been helping out drivers to make it up to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series, and their mission is clear: provide every driver with the tools and knowledge to reach their full potential, whether it's on the virtual track or beyond. Head on over to virtualracingschool.com to see all the ways that they can help you perform and get faster out there on track. Also want to say thank you to GTR Simulators. Head on over to gtrsimulators.com to see how you can get yourself upgraded to professional level racing rigs to get yourself feeling like you're racing at the real tracks. Go on, and when you're purchasing, remember to use the promo code WSSR for 10% off on $100 and more purchased. Thank you to GTR Simulators and VRS for being some incredible sponsors to have for season 11. Drivers are all out on track, but currently seeing a few that are just putting on a show, as John Forbes Jr. up front looking strong. The 88 we see here of Seth Knoll trying to make their charge forward. This has been one fun one to watch so far, Richard, but we're just entering the halfway of tonight's race. What are some surprising notes that you're seeing, or drivers that are surprising you so far here tonight?
I mean, I'm going to say Brian McCann. I know he started on the pole, and he's been showing a lot of speed of late, but seeing him up here, being able to maintain in the top 10 has really been kind of a surprising run for me here at Dover for him. So, I mean, I know he's fast, but longer runs usually see him fall off, and he's doing a great job tonight, and he's currently sitting fifth.
Sitting fifth, having a good run for McCann. A couple of other drivers that are having some pretty good runs. I got to say, the 00 Brian Noel, who's in the thick of this run that you're seeing. That 00 has been looking very stout on the fact that he just continues to trying to have better and better runs here this evening and this season. When we first saw the 00, he was a driver that we felt like would get out of control at times, and he's been finding a lot more of a comfort zone these last few seasons, and here tonight really performing well in race number 3. Again, this is a track where we usually see Lucky Ducks Motorsports have one of their better runs, and we're seeing it so far for a lot of their drivers. Here's the season 1 champion of the WSSR Cup Series. Is Brian P. Johnson, still trying to get a way around this 00 for 8th place, and that's a tough squeeze in the center of 1 and 2. But Brian P. Johnson making his way forward now and solidifying into the top 10, as you're seeing Vincent Soro with the dive bomb move for the 51.
Fantastic move for the 51, straight to the bottom of the track to try to get around, but Brian P. Johnson not giving that spot up easily. He charges back on the outside as he has the momentum from that outside lane, and they are still side by side as they exit turn 2. 2 by 2 is what it looks like, and Vincent Sora unable to complete that pass. It's going to be even harder for him to complete the pass with just being on the inside. Looks like he might be able to get up in front of Brian P. Johnson, and he will as he finally completes the pass around him.
Former teammates, friends outside of the sim. You're seeing a little bit of more friendship moves there. And, you know, when you've got a lot of friends out there on track, it sometimes can be a big help to have, because drivers give you slightly more respect than others. If you're a new driver in a new league, I mean, it's strictly based off how you race the drivers around you, or maybe your attitude, and it can hurt you in some ways. And we're seeing some drivers being attacked, others trying their best to just stay on track as much as possible. And right now, Richard, it's been fun to see the back and forth. We do have some updates on drivers deeper in the field. We got Colin Carroll, was able to get out on track, has been running a few laps for the 4. That is beautiful to see. I know they're upset on being 89 laps down, but it's good to see the 4 out there on track. Nicholas Renner still in pit road getting damage repair, but also seeing some other drivers that were dealing with some heavy damage moving forward. Entering into 30th place is Cosman, in trying his best after being involved with earlier wrecks and heavy damage. Also seeing Cole Sacchetti moving forward. Seeing a lot of drivers trying to find his footing, as Jared Talmadge and also Ollie Fonseca with the big wiggle and slide, as the 27 still feeling out of control as those tires are extremely overheated.
Definitely overheated. They are old 50-lap-old tires, but he's doing a good job keeping it under there. And, you know, we were talking about, you know, Colin Carroll, he's back out on track, even though he's 89 laps down. I mean, it is just a sim for us. It's not something we do for a living like the real NASCAR drivers, but I mean, it's great to see drivers come back out still with their issues and still try to put laps down because there's no better practice than seat time. And that's exactly what Colin Carroll's doing. He's getting out there trying to see if there's something he can learn from all the drivers around him so he can possibly use for later races in this season. So good to see him out there try to gain maybe a position or two with other drivers that decided to call it a night. But it's always refreshing when you see a driver get back out on there, even though they have no chance of winning the race.
And with 80 laps still left in this race, this Ford machine can grab quite a few positions. I mean, probably the last position he could grab, maybe 35th position, or you find Nico Garcia, who called it a night. Right now, Colin Carroll runs the 41st spot, and where he would have finished if he had just ran one lap. But if he finishes all the laps here this evening, that is a huge pickup for a driver who entered tonight, being on that 16th place bubble spot, trying to make the playoffs. You need these type of races where you just fight no matter what the issue is to get every spot possible.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, he definitely can at least get 35th. That is the highest he can get. But hey, that's still better than the 1 point he would have gotten from 41st. So he's doing a good job. Glad to see him back out on track, trying to get every little bitty point he can do. But right now we're riding around with Justin Malarkey in the number 73 machine, back in the 24th position, still trying to make some moves. Looks to the outside of Ryan Bird, able to get his nose all just there. Ryan Bird does give him the room smartly, but Justin Malarkey making a little bit of ground trying to make these passes back in the back of the field.
Yeah, Malarkey up 6 spots from where they started here tonight in 26th position. So, I mean, from seeing all these spots being grabbed, Malarkey, excuse me, from that 29th position and trying to grab all these positions that the 73 can get. It's great to see Malarkey at times. Super Speedway races, seeing the 73 battling up front. It's these intermediate tracks, the short tracks, where we're going to see the struggle for Malarkey, but it is awesome to see him battling inside of our top 25 and trying to get to that midpoint of this race field where, for some drivers, that's your ultimate goal that you're aiming for. It's maybe not for a win, but it's to get the best finish you can, and we're seeing that right now from the 73 with, again, 75 laps to go here tonight. As the battling for second place, for the first time really looked up front in a while, it's Ryan Kelly and Gavin Rogers, as these drivers are now 36 laps into these tires. We're starting to see that difference on who's protected and who's aggressive.
Yeah, now's the time to start making moves. Gavin Rogers, he is starting to show some speed. He's going to make the pass around Ryan Kelly now. I think he has finally said, hey, it's time to start moving forward, seeing what these tires can do. Pits will eventually have to happen. But Gavin Rogers now sitting in the second position. They've got quite a bit of ground to make up on John Forbes as he's got out there. They got under a second now, but he did have a pretty decent lead earlier. But they're starting to catch John Forbes. He has used those tires up a little more than probably what he'd hope. As Ryan Kelly got a little bit of a blink there, but he shows back up, still connected to the server. So good to see on that.
A quick little blinks, but issues in the middle of the field, and it is trouble striking for the 7 machine. That is Douglas Newbigging going around on the entry of turn number 1. As it looked like to be contact made between Colin Carroll and Douglas Newbigging that were close. As the 7 was trying to sneak his way through without any damage. And it is not going to be the case, as seeing the 7 machine exit of 4. It gets very close between these two drivers. The 7's trying his best to stay low, and slight graze there, and that's what gets the 7 out of control and then goes for a ride.
Yeah, the 4 is on the outside there. 7 was coming up the track. I think it did look like the 4 might have gotten into the wall, came down, got into Douglas there, but kind of keeps it off the wall. Had a small hit. Shouldn't be a lot of damage for Douglas, so should be a quick in and out with the damage fixed. But you hate seeing yourself spin out by a car that's so many laps down, but I think he can still recover and still have really good finish for himself.
As the rest of the field making the decision, pit road is calling. Everyone going to be making a stop here. No one's staying out for potentially trying to just lead a lap. 7 locks it down. There's the contact, and some of those front nose taps give you a lot of optional damage. You can usually get that damage fixed up, and the car will run pretty much like it's brand new at times. We'll see how the 7, how quickly he leaves pit road. Looks like he'll stay. He can still gain those 4 tires repaired, but you know, how long you decide to stay in pit road after collecting damage, always an interesting thing to watch. For some, it's get it all repaired. Others, it's get little bits and pieces done as the run progresses.
Yeah, I mean, it's all part of the different strategies and getting your damage repaired. But drivers, everyone down pit road, they're getting the tires. Now it's back to reset the entire field. Everyone's going to be on the same set of tires, of freshness or whatnot. So we'll see who they've still got just under 80 laps, just over 70 laps left of this race. Still a lot of racing to go, and those tires can still wear down quite a bit. So who's still got that long run pace? Ryan Kelly's still up there in third. He might be a little faster this time, being that it's getting closer to the end of the race, but he's having some connection issues, it looks like.
Still going back and forth. We'll see when those get cleared up. A couple of drivers, you know, we talked about our Whiplash SimCam's biggest mover of the day being Zach Hall. A couple of other drivers that are close in the numbers where Hall has climbed up 29 spots, up 24 spots, back in 14th. That's where we find GT Irizarry, as he's been trying to find his way moving forward. And also Andrew Medlin up 22 positions from where he started here tonight. Those are your big three drivers that have really gained a lot of positions here tonight. Other drivers that are up less than 20, Ross Tatum back and forth. He's up 14 positions. Chris Stitz is up 11 spots. Those are some great runs for themselves. And other drivers we've talked about so already. Joshua Kanata up 15 positions, and Justin Malarkey up 10. But up front, John Forbes, Gavin Rogers, they got some fresh tires. Now no longer wait and see who can save them, but with coming up to 70 laps to go when we go green, we could potentially on fuel take it to the end. The question is, can we stay green until the end? It's going to be the true question as pit road calls for our pace car. All eyes on the one. When will he go? Can Gavin Rogers time the restart? As we enter the restart zone for race number 3, we're green once again for John Forbes. And here we go, Richard, down into turn number 1.
Down into turn 1, John Forbes, a strong restart, shot out like a cannon straight to the front, and he's going to have a great lead for this first lap, and Gavin Rogers will sneak out in front of Ryan Kelly. And now the 21 of Ross Tatum, he's looking to the inside of Ryan Kelly also to try to get third position, but Ryan Kelly stepping back a little bit, going to try to save those tires and then make his move later in this race. But the top 6 looks like they're going to be single file, and that's what they're going to again. Strategy, the long run. Don't waste your tire. Don't waste those resources. Don't race when you don't have to, as they all get single file going into turn 3.
And I think this is the quickest time. We've seen all these drivers just go straight to single file. And I know for some, it's pounce, take one spot, maybe 2, but everyone recognizing the fuel, you can make it to the end of this race. Tires, you have to be focusing on protecting your tires immediately. If this race goes green, if you are not protecting your tires, you're not making it to the end of this race. Your tires can start already popping 50 laps into a run if you're being too aggressive. And if we take a look at the weather, that also could give us a good glance on tire-wise as well. It hasn't changed a lot since the start of the race at 121 Fahrenheit. It's now up to 122 is the track temp. 88 is the air temperature. That has gone up a degree, but with how hot this track is and how quick you can run around this course, if you're not saving your tires, you're going to see drivers having issues with about 30 laps to go to maybe 25 to go. After that, it's all on who's protected.
Yeah, if there's one driver that can definitely make those tires last those 70 to 80 laps, that will be Ryan Kelly. But, you know, maybe these other drivers have figured out what he does to save the tires for that long. But we'll have to see when it gets closer to that time. You know, hopefully nobody has to pit, and we're going to have a very close finish. But single file is definitely what they're doing right now. Not a lot of movement. Everyone keeping kind of the distance they want, staying not far enough back to where they're still in striking distance to have that draft, but not too close to where they're getting dirty air, which upsets that car so much and makes it drive really bad. So doing a good job keeping that distance and keeping those cars as stable and smooth as possible.
And with everyone in line, everyone trying to keep it together, I think this might be our one and only time of the night. Maybe throw it to a commercial break, because everyone is in the same mindset of let's make it to the end of this race. We will go side by side, so if there are any passes or action going on, you won't miss a thing. And we'll take a quick rest for our voice, prepare for the end charge as we are coming up to 60 laps to go. You've been watching the WSSR VRS Cup Series Season 11, Race 3 here at Dover. We've been proud to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll be back right after this with more racing action.
These are the VRS Direct Force Pro pedals. So it's a high-end product, stainless steel construction with an industrial aesthetic. Very, very adjustable. All 3 pedals, the pedal faces in terms of height, depth, angle are fully adjustable, and overall pedal angle is also adjustable. Now, if we look at the throttle pedal first, we have quite a unique design here. So we have a rodless spring, which doesn't quite look right to the eye, but functionally performs extremely well. Absolutely no friction whatsoever. So really nice, smooth response. And we have a lot of adjustability here in terms of initial starting force, preload, and also overall force and pedal travel. So if we move on to the brake, we have similar levels of adjustability, a very high-end, heavy-duty construction. We have the blue spring on here at the moment, which tolerates a 65 kilogram maximum force. Also supplied is the optional red spring, which doubles that to 130 kilograms. These are linear springs, which is not normally how a real-life brake pedal feels. So we have this very clever mechanism on the back here, which basically turns that into a progressive, more realistic feeling, which gives you quite a decent bit of travel for low-level trail braking, and then more of a ramp up when you're really braking much harder. And we have this tie rod at the top, which is fully adjustable, along with preload, so you can really fine-tune that exact force shape to your preference. On the clutch, we have a similar level of adjustability in terms of pedal face and also the shape of the curve. So we try to emulate a clutch plate, which is stiff initially and then flattens out as the clutch gives way. So that's emulated here with a small amount of adjustability, including overall travel as well. So we're very happy with this product, and we hope you are too.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's a perfect time to do so. You're seeing the battling going on just outside of the top 10, but we also got to go up to the lead because John Forbes Jr. has been dominating, but he's about to be under fire, and it's Gavin Rogers in the 75 starting to catch up as we are coming down to the last couple of laps. We'll take it back. We got a caution in the back, and it looks to be Slow Machines, Brad Delph as well. So it's the 72 and the 2 going for a little bit of a spin as drivers were trying their best not to bring out a late caution, but it does come out, and now it's strategy time. Does everyone come into pit road? Does no one hit pit road? As the contact was between the 2 and the 72, and here's the replay of what brought out the caution as we came back from our commercial break.
Yeah, it actually started with the 72 and the 91 of Martin Morales coming out of the turn. 72 kind of snapped a little bit and went high, got into the side of the 91, and then he just couldn't really gather the car back up, shot back up the track, as I see right there, and gathers the number 2. Unfortunate to see. And now the strategies of pit calls or stay out is going to come forth. We'll see who decides to stay out and who decides to pit, because I think this is going to really determine who wins this race and who comes down pit road for some fresh tires.
I mean, we saw during the end of that stage, Ross Tatum proved it. If you got the tires late, you can dominate and run down a lot of drivers and pick up in 6 laps over 20 positions. Now, I don't think it would be as easy as we saw at the end of the stage, but it is going to be Ross Tatum staying out, and also a good amount of drivers. Looks to be about 12, 13, 14. It continues to count up. The half out splitting the field in half on those that took tires and those that stayed out, as it's going to be a total of 16 drivers deciding to stay out. John Forbes, also Brian McCann, going to be leading those that decide to go into pit road and get service done.
Yeah, 16 drivers staying out, and the other ones getting tires. Gavin Rogers, a lot of our front runners, they decided to come in, get some fresh tires. That might be the smart decision. We still have a lot of racing, just over 40 laps to go. So, I mean, track position could still be king here, but we'll see the guys from 17th position on back fly through this field. Probably not like Ross Tatum did in stage 1, but they're going to try and baby those tires a little bit more, but they're going to be able to make passes a little easier for the next couple of laps with those fresh tires. This is where the strategy comes in. This is what we were looking forward to see who can make the decision and the right decision at the right time to get their way up front and win this race.
I mean, if we get a late caution, if we run 10, 15, 20 laps, caution comes out, some of the drivers that just came into pit road, they used their last set. They are stuck with what they have. There are other drivers that still have 1 set left that have already pitted. One of those being Jared Talmadge, as well as Drew Jewell. We talked on the fact that they stayed out so long without pitting for their second set of tires in pit road. Well, this is where they have the chance of being rewarded, where they've got the chance to use a set now, and if we get caution in 20 laps, they can use another set. They are in a prime position, the 77-27. I'm loving the spots that they're in, as long as they stay out of trouble. The drivers that are currently up front leading this race, they need at least 15, 20 laps. They need to have an advantage on the tires that they can get rewarded with. We'll see if that's going to be the case as everyone's stacked up side by side. It's Ross Tatum, Brian P. Johnson, Brian Noel. The Bryans going to be 2nd and 3rd, with Seth Knoll going to be in 4th, Zach Hall 5th, Shane Terry going to be in 6th, 7th is Joshua Canada with GT Rosari 8th, 9th is Douglas Newbiggie with Cedric Hunter in 10th. The field is set. We're stacked up. It's time for 43 more laps of racing action. Green flags in the air. A little bit of wheel spin going to be happening all throughout our top 16, but it's Ross Tatum and Seth Knoll going to be the leading 2 as we head into turn number 1.
Ross Tatum got a great start. Some wheel spin on that outside lane kind of set them back a little bit. Seth Knoll able to follow Ross Tatum around, but Brian P. Johnson not giving up that easy. He's still going to maintain that outside position, not allowing Seth to get up into that outside lane. Still going to be there as they come across or come out of turn 4, and it's still side-by-side racing throughout the entire field. We did not see them get single file like they've done the past couple of restarts, and the new tires are already flying through the field as Vince's Sword took a 3 wide and a caution in the back of the field.
That's going to be Ryan Kelly spun around for the 41 machine. Caution flag is out, and I don't think that was enough laps if you stayed on that last run to be rewarded with pitting now. But Gavin Rogers, you're talking about drivers that were flying through the field. He's moved up to now 9th position with the run that he was ripping on the top. Here's what brought out our caution. Ryan Kelly and others get to see in their mirrors trouble striking the 41. It looked like he snapped loose, and away he went with drivers all around. Justin Malarkey also getting a piece of it. You saw the back of that shot as seeing the 41 wounded, limping, and heads to pit road.
Yeah, that's unfortunate to see. I mean, that was a very quick caution to come out. It's probably one of the quickest we've seen all night, and it was just 3 wide racing back there that kind of is what brought this out. Vincent Sora through the middle, gets in a little bit to the 41, gets pinched up into the 41, and he just lost control of the car. Collected Justin Malarkey, pretty heavy hit there, but only a couple of cars with some light damage, or even if any at all. So if, all things said and done, I mean, that's a pretty small wreck with what could have been.
Yeah, with spinning around, 8 other drivers, that could have been, should have been a lot worse. But luckily to the rest of the field, they were able to avoid as cleanly as they could. Again, Justin Malarkey getting a good glimpse of that issue, and that was just drivers with fresh tires trying to work their way through, as the 41 of Ryan Kelly was on an older set of tires, yet to pit to take his final set, and he was not happy with the fact the way he was taken out there, as field able to continue to stay clean and green out on course. And what's funny, we talk about drivers, the mental fortitude. There's the 4 machine of Colin Carroll, who, because every driver that has got caught up in a wreck or has gone a lap down has basically called it a night for the race. The 4, every time there's been a caution, these last couple of cautions, has gotten a lap back, now only 86 laps down. And again, if we continue to see these laps tick away and the 4 can run every lap, they will be able to advance up to 35th. That's the highest that Carroll can get up to. But it has been fun to watch the 4 just take every position possible here recently. From going for 41st position, not able to even start the race with computer issues, to now up to 38th, just staying out there on track.
Yeah, and it's funny to see when you see someone down that many laps getting the lucky dog and getting a lap back. But yeah, so many drivers laps down that are in the pits getting repaired or called it a night. So it allows him, being the only car, the first car lap down, getting those laps back, and has already gained, like I said, 4 positions. So he's getting those points, and he's still getting track time and practice, and that's way more important than anything else you could have.
Absolutely is. As the field knows, practice, track time going to be the key. And for a lot of these drivers this week, they go moving from here at Dover, where it has been a tough, worn down track that has just been turning up your tires. We head to a track that should bring out some joy. We're heading to Texas. Track that's going to be tough. It's going to be a lot of drivers on top of one another. Who can save their tires? Who can be aggressive? You'll have to find it out next week. Texas for our 4th race of the season for 150 laps. Tonight, though, still a lot of racing to go down. Gavin Rogers, who runs in 10th position, is going to be the first driver with the freshest of tires. John Force back in 12th, going to be the second highest of those with fresh rubber. Up front, everyone's on 33-lap old tires. If you're in the top 9, how well can you take off here? We'll find out. Green flag is in the air. A little bit of a slow shimmy on the outside, and it's all Ross Tatum, car length and a half ahead of the rest of the field.
Ross Tatum has definitely got these restarts down. He's been able to get some great restarts shooting out like a cannon, a huge gap in front. But Gavin Rogers taking it 3 right over Kanata. He's making some major moves, a lot of speed from those fresh tires. He wants to start moving up, gets almost into the back of the 0-0 there, but he's still passing cars as Brian P. Johnson comes up. Almost a wreck. The 0-0 is able to gather it together and keep it straight.
That's going to be Noel, and they're still going to be 3 wide stacked all the way through. That is 3 stacked almost 4 all the way through, and you can just see the middle of the pack. There's just nowhere to go, and down to the inside is going to be that 0-0 Brian Noel. He's going to be trying to stick it to the inside. They're going to still be about 3-4 wide heading into turn number 3. Watch out for Douglas Newbiging as he almost gets into Bird. They're still riding on top of one another, keeping it straight. No yellow flag, but down into turn number 1. Richard, this is just a madhouse of drivers on old and new tires. You can see the major difference, and it's John Forbes who slides his way through with Ryan Kelly, better than Rogers on the outside.
And they were 3 wide up here in the lead as well. Gavin Rogers still taking it 3 wide, and the 3 drivers that have been the talk of the race are back in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd position. Forbes, Kelly, and Gavin Rogers, the top 3 drivers on newest tires, back to the lead, and they are still 2 and 3 wide further on behind them.
We've been watching Gavin Rogers, Ryan Kelly going back and forth for the majority of this evening. John Forbes took a gamble coming to the end of the stage and decided to pit early. With that reward, he went with all the challenges of having started last year tonight to now leading this race. But Gavin Rogers just putting down the fastest lap of the race. He's trying to find a way to get by Ryan Kelly up front. But you can see here, the chance of a caution, it's right in the battling from 6th on back. It's just a madhouse for this group. Where do you go? Because it's just looking like a wall of drivers, and you're hoping the lane you pick's right. Crawford gets spun. Away he goes. Caution is out, and this could change everything.
This is where all the drivers on old tires should come down and take the last set of tires they have, because it is going to be a major difference. There was drivers all over the place, a huge mixing pot of old and new tires, and you saw what that can cause. Caution is out. Nick Crawford spun sideways, hits the inside wall with the nose. Should be a little bit of damage on him, but the 27 comes up, just gets into that left rear quarter panel and sends him around. Some big damage on the left front of that 74 machine.
And for Nick Crawford, he had already used his final set. He was part of those that were trying to move forward quickly. Not going to be the case as he gets clipped by the 27. We were right on board with Jared Talmadge. He still has an extra set. So I think for the 27, it's a question of if he sees other competition ahead of him, decide to pull into pit road. Those that are on the old tires, you have to follow them. You can't just wait, because if you don't pit as a group, those that are on those older tires as a full group, this could backfire quickly, and you could be so far back, you just don't have the, you're gonna have to work your way from about 30th all the way up to the lead if you're one of the lone drivers to pit now. But here's the grouping of drivers that we expected to see hit pit road. It's from 15th on back. Half the group that needed to pit are coming in.
This is such a hard decision to make as a driver here in the VRS Cup Series. Is you still, like these guys pitting, they're pretty much hoping that there's no more cautions. Those that are staying out, they're hoping that there are cautions so they can have fresher tires for the last bit of runs. But it's always a gamble this late in the race. You never know what's going to happen. Zach Hall thought about going to the pits. Nobody followed him. He made a last-minute decision to come back up. But a good 10 cars behind him, that's where the cars decided to start coming into pit road. They're getting fresh tires, and they're going to try to make that charge back to the front.
And I think what made that pit stop so difficult for Hall was because he expected there to be more drivers that are on the same strategy for his tires to be behind him. The problem is that they worked about 10 drivers back. So when Hall had already passed the pit entry, all those other drivers made the indication they were coming in. And I think for Hall, that was just the big thing that's going to hurt him here, is now if he does pit, he's only got about 6 other guys that are going to pit with him. And if they do come to pit road, they're going to be back mired around 24th position. And that is a long trek to make your way forward with everyone that just took fresh tires now. I mean, you need now another 15 laps, maybe 20. And by that time, we're stuck with 10 laps to go. This is a tough spot where it felt like maybe this was the last time to take that set of tires.
Yeah, I think this was the best time to come in and take tires, but I get the frustration also because they saw the road jam, the traffic jam that they had on fresh tires versus old tires. And you don't want to be a part of that when you're back in the back of the field, in the middle of the field, because that's where the wrecks have been happening. It's just been different tire strategies that are causing these checkups, that are causing these 3-wide and 4-wide situations where everybody's getting into each other. So, I mean, it's not an easy decision. I don't envy the drivers like Zach Hall or Ross Tatum or any of them out there on those older tires to try to come in and take that last set. But I have a feeling you were right. That might have been the last opportunity they had to get fresh tires to have balanced this out.
We've had plenty of different incidences and wrecks happen here tonight. We are left with just a total of 32 drivers on the lead lap. Brett Delph, Nico Garcia, Ken Campbell, Tanner Betha, as well as going to be Ben Keeney, Nicholas Renner, and Pete Tart all have called it a night. Who else will join them? We'll have to wait and see. But up front, 15-lap old tires compared to 42-lap old tires is going to be the difference between our top 3 to Zach Hall. And we'll see how well they can stay up front, or will it be the drivers further on back that can maybe run them down? John Forbes with a great launch for himself up front. Ryan Kelly going to line right back in line with them. Same with Gavin Rogers. Now let's pick your poison. Where do you feel the fastest? With less than 30 laps to go, when do you save? Can you even save? Because it is all go mode as drivers in the back going 3 wide down into turn number 3. But it is here, see here, all those drivers clustering up once again in the middle of this pack.
In the middle of the pack, it is a conglomerate of 3 different strategies, and we have a caution out again. This might have saved drivers like Zach Hall. It might be a good time for them to come in and take new tires. But another caution late in this race at Dover.
That's going to be the 19 of Tyler Dangler and Ryan Bird. As Bird was trying to ramp his way up through the corner, Dangler gets caught up in that issue. As this is Dangler catching up with the field, and you know, seeing these drivers, the way that they're trying to attack into the corner is one of those races, I would say, Richard, where if you're Hall, I mean, yes, this time of the yellow is nice to have, but if you pit now, you're going back to you're going back to 32nd position. I mean, you have to still wait. You cannot pit now.
Yeah, that's a good point, but I mean, at the same time, you see the difference on the newer tires. He could even fall, you know, even further back. Well, not really further back, but I mean, it's such a hard decision to make because you know you're going to lose a lot of positions. You're just kind of hoping that something happens and, you know, you keep these cars under yellow and you don't give up that track position. So it's a tough decision. Zach Hall will probably more than likely stay out on these tires just so he doesn't lose and get all the way back to the last place, basically.
And that replay was showing an earlier caution that we had as the field is all trying to get themselves in line. No one's really making a decision to go to pit road except for 2. I take that back 3. Ollie Fonseca, Joshua Corner, and Ryan. I mean, it's going to be Kyle Rochelle all coming into pit road to get service done for themselves. So, you know, them getting this service may influence them to have a better finish at the end of tonight. We also have a couple of more sponsors that we want to say thank you to. One of those being Trophy Smack. Go check out where you can get your trophies to celebrate your high and low moments. Head on over to TrophySmack.com to check out their customizable, incredible trophies, rings, belts, and more. You've got pre-made or ones you can customize to your own liking, as well as you can go get yourself a metal plate called a Wall Smack where you can post your own custom image, and with their wall safe magnet system, you can place it on the wall, you can get their stand, put it on your desk, show off your victories, show off your low moments. We love to show them all from TrophySmack.com. And when purchasing, remember to use the promo code WSSRSmack for 10% off on your Wall Smack purchases from TrophySmack.com. If you're also looking to get yourself into 3D printed sim racing gear and one-of-a-kind pieces built by and with passion and precision, head on over to Sim Precision Prints. As if you go on over to simprecisionprints.shop and use the promo code WSSR, you can get 10% off of your orders that are over $50. Sim Precision Shops, precision prints, performance, and deliver. Thank you so much to all the incredible sponsors that help out the WSSR VRS Cup Series for Season 11. Richard, we know this race probably isn't over yet. We're expecting more cautions with all the tire differences that are out there. But, I mean, if you're guys in the middle of the field, how do you even mentally prepare for this upcoming restart where you know there is so much on the line?
It's tough in the middle of the field. And also, you know, what's going through the leaders' minds also? Driver like Gavin Rogers, who wants to get that win on the season. I mean, are you expecting more cautions? Do you drive that car as hard as you can to get to the lead? Or do you do that and then ruin your tires for a long green flag run? It's a hard decision to make throughout the entire field. With that middle of the pack, they have got to show a little bit more patience with those drivers still on older tires. As, I mean, it's just the speed difference is crazy.
We talk about how the cream rises to the top at the end of a season, at the end of the races. Well, guess what? The top 4 drivers are the top 4 drivers in points. Where will they finish? Can they stay as the top 4? Let's find out. As we're back to green flag racing, it's John Forbes Jr. leading the charge. His Nightmare Fuel teammate, Vincent Sora, following on the outside. And guess who? It's Drew Jua now up front, finally with a chance to be inside of the top 5. But can we stay green? They're already going to be 3 wide, back battling around 17th position. But it's Forbes, it's Sora, and now Kelly fighting strong on the inside up front.
Gavin Rogers dropping back to the 5th position. He's got to get some speed back underneath him, get that ground closed in. They are going 3 and 4 wide further back in the field. Also, that's the difference in tires we're seeing. But Vincent Sora, Ryan Kelly, Vincent Sora making the pass on Ryan Kelly on the outside. They were side by side for a little bit there, but Ryan Kelly trying to find some ground here, trying to challenge Vincent Sora again back for that 2nd position. Sora, that outside line working really well as Drew Jewett keeps bouncing off that wall. That'll eventually give Gavin Rogers a chance to get around him and potentially break Drew Jewett's car.
And there was a slight graze, it looked like, for the one of John Forbes coming off the exit of turn 4. We'll keep an eye on that, because the more and more you tap it, the better chance you could be making some fatal damage that could hurt your run for later on in this race. As, oh no, Kelly! Also, Rogers, hard contact to the outside wall. Now going to be seeing Chris Stitz try to capitalize on that run, but both the 20, the 75, and as well the 3 machine, hard contact off the exit of the corner.
Yeah, Ryan Kelly, Gavin Rogers trying to get his nose to the outside there, and Ryan Kelly was not clear, drifted up and went across the nose of Gavin Rogers and into the wall for both of them. Ryan Kelly, getting the worst side of it is, lost position to Gavin Rogers and is now back being challenged by other drivers like Chris Stitz. So he has got to get some, got to get his mind straight after that situation. But Gavin Rogers, he's got to get some moves going and get that line that he was running earlier, try to gain back up on Drew Jewett and challenge for that lead.
Outside looking in drivers that just entered the top 10. Cosman in the 48. He was caught up in those earlier wrecks. He is now moved up in a 10th position. He's on the same set of tires as everyone else that is inside of the top 12. But they got to be careful. Shane Terrian back in that 13th position. He's got the freshest set of tires, but it just doesn't look like the speed is there to run down and pass everyone that's in front of him. But we are seeing some drivers that we really haven't talked about all night long that maybe were running outside of the top 25. Because of their strategy calls, they're back in the fight. Speaking about back in the fight, here's our pole sitter of Brian McCann on the outside, slicing his way past the 17 to Chris Stitz.
Yeah, Brian McCann has brought his car back up to the top 10, trying to make moves, get further up. But then you also, like you said, the cars we haven't talked about all race. Cody Reed is 1 position out of the top 10, sitting back in the 11th position. It is great to see Cody Reed here at Dover racing and trying to get a top 10 where, he won the opening race, the only race he won last season at Atlanta. And he's doing really well. Haven't talked about him at all today, and he's looking out, or on the outside looking in.
Big move by GT Rosari. He went from basically the middle of the backstretch and just dove down to force it 3 wide on Douglas Newbegin and Nick Crawford. They both back out of that pass, and GT Rosari not able to capitalize on that run, but Shane Terrian has moved up to 12th. Looking at last lap pace, he's good enough to be inside of our top 4. The problem, he's back in 12th. Cosman going to be back here running in 9th place for the debut race of the 48, talking about mental fortitude. This has been an incredible one. Just needed some help with the strategy call. And now it's the 48 machine looking for a top 10 finish in his debut race of the WSSR VRS Cup Series. They continue to race on. Up front, they're racing on as well. Forbes, Sora, side by side as they go into turn number 3.
Grab some popcorn and throw a blanket over that top 4 as they are all that close to each other. And a little bit of contact from Forbes and Sora there. Just a little in the quarter panel, but Sora looking low on John Forbes. This is the challenge for the lead. Drew Jewett looking in the shadows also. These cars are out to win this race. 4 drivers with the potential to win as we count down the laps here tonight.
On Monday night in the ISRC Truck Series, it was coming to the final 3 laps. It was between Forbes, it was between Sora. That was the trucks at Phoenix. Here on the concrete, here at Dover on Wednesday night in the next gen cars, it's the same 2 drivers, different night, same thing, same action we get to see. The one in the 51, back at it, back and forth. The only new combination we get to see is Drew Jewett, Gavin Rogers. They're now the new factors. Are they going to be the ones that can shake up the teammates, or will the teammates stay in line and just say, you know what? Let's keep each other 1-2, and let's get the best team race we can? Or will it come down to, we're racers, we want the win, 12 laps to go. Will Sora fight back on John Forbes?
I think the smart decision is to not fight back yet, to save a little bit of that tire resource towards the end, because the longer you two try to drive side by side, it looks like Sora will do that. They're just going to drive in line right now. Sora will look low. He might take it side by side, but if they drive side by side, that's going to scrub speed off from both of them because they both can't take an optimal line. That will allow Drew Jewell and Gavin Rogers to catch back up and challenge them again. They're still going to stay side by side. They need to get in line, pull a little bit of distance from that other two, but Vincent Sora still trying to side draft a little bit from Forbes and takes it low again. He is trying to get this pass done on his teammate to get the lead tonight.
Vincent Sora, the two-time champion, back in season 4 and 5, wants to get back to that pedigree. Finished off last season with winning at Homestead. A little bit of trouble, though, for Gavin Rogers with Drew Jewell backing off at 75 as he had a late entry into turn number 3. Hurts both himself and Drew Jewell as they exited turn number 4, but Vincent Sora, he had all the momentum, all the speed. He just wasn't there points-wise to race for a championship at the end of last season. Could he get himself back into victory lane just 3 races away from that Homestead finish as he wants to grab his first win of season 11? But John Forbes, he wants his first win of being a champion. He grabbed the championship. Now he wants to get back into victory lane and show that the championship curse of having that number 1 does not exist. That this number 1 machine of John Forbes is just going to be a driver that builds on his momentum after his championship last season. Richard is looking great between the two teammates from Nightmare Fuel, but I'm looking at Drew Jewell and Gavin Rogers. They continue to fight back and forth, and they're losing time compared to our 2 leaders that are fighting back and forth and pulling away.
Yeah, Gavin is trying to get this pass done on Drew Jewell. The problem is, and it looks like he finally will clear it for 3rd. Hopefully that gives him some fresh air to get behind those leaders. Gavin Rogers, he kept trying to get the run down the straightaways and make the pass on the inside of Drew Jewell, but could not complete it. But we just watched it there, was able to finally complete that pass, and now he's got his optimal line to gain speed. We'll see, got a little bit loose there, got into the wall, but Gavin Rogers, he has now got his sights set on those 2 up front, the Nightmare Fuels of Vincent Sora and John Forbes, who again are side by side as well as teammates. So this is what Gavin wants to see as he's starting to close that gap between those 2 drivers.
Will overtime be used? It has not been used in the past, but it could be calling for some of these drivers here tonight. A little bit of shakeup going back in 10th position as Cosman has just been bounced around, looking like a pinball at times. He continues to keep it straight, but the battle for the lead, it's still the 1 of Forbes. It's still Vincent Sora and the 1. Loving the fact that he's got a teammate and a friend around him who will race him as respectfully as possible. But Gavin Rogers being right there for 2nd place. This is wide open for the 75 with all the battling, all the pushes. If he can get just 1 lap, 1 good pass by this 51 machine, and he has just 2 to 3 laps to work with, Gavin's is having a chance to win. It's not over.
No, it's definitely not over. Gavin has got a lot of speed, especially off the exits, but he's got to time that run right to get that pass complete in the turns. But time is running out. He has got to find something. He's got to find a different line, got to get that run to get around the 51 so he has a chance at John Forbes. But right now, John Forbes is looking pretty, looking clean to take this win as long as he makes no mistakes. Vincent Sora is starting to lose a little ground on him. This could just be to keep Gavin behind him. Gavin going to look low. He's going to try to make the pass on Vincent Sora for 2nd place.
Going down, he needs to make the pass now. If he waits for an extra lap, it could be over on trying to run down Forbes. Vincent Sora, a huge pinch off the exit, but it hurts him off the exit of the corner on getting close to that outside wall, but Rogers had 0 momentum. That was a perfect defensive move by the 51, but it takes away any chance to run down John Forbes that's looking for the flag stand. So going through turns 3 and 4, hoping for no yellow. He looks up to the flag stand. There's the white flag waving for the 1 machine of John Forbes as he goes down into turn number 1.
Vincent Sora did a great job. Pinched Gavin Rogers on the exit of the turn, not allowing him to get a good exit, but it's not going to give him a chance to win this race. Gavin Rogers has 1 more chance to look at Vincent Sora. He's going to go low into the turn to turn 3 and 4. Looks like John Forbes coming out of the turn. He will win tonight at Dover, but the challenge for 2nd is still there. They're side by side, but Vincent Sora, a little squiggle from Gavin Rogers. Vincent Sora will take 2nd. Gavin Rogers will be 3rd.
As the one of John Forbes finds himself with the victory. He was given the chance, given the option. You could have stuck with the number 11 that you won the championship with last season. He said, I'll take the challenge. I'm the former champ. I'll take that number 1 for this season 11. And he gets his first win. 3 races in for John Forbes. Congratulations on winning here at Dover. Vincent Sora comes away second. Gavin Rogers third. Drew Jewell will take fourth. He is also going to give kudos the 5th place finisher, Jared Talmadge. What a run for himself. Ryan Kelly falls to 6th. 7th is the 8 machine of Brian McCann. Chris Stitz 8th. And the drivers who took a fresh set of tires, just 14 lap advantage, wasn't enough. Shane Tarian falls to 9th and was not able to get all those spots back. In 10th place goes to Larry Yingling. Burn it down, John Forbes, as he gets to do so. We will step away. When we come back, we've got our top 3 that we'll talk to: John Forbes, Vincent Sora, Gavin Rogers, and a spotlight driver right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for race number 3 at Dover for the WSSR VRS Cup Series. Last season's champion, John Forbes, finally gets into victory lane for the first time in season 11. And it is a 1-2 finish for the Nightmare Fuel drivers of John Forbes and Vincent Sora. John, congratulations on the win. I guess there is no curse for you running this one machine because you are in victory lane. How are you feeling after your performance here tonight with starting in the back of the field with that initial EOL?
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, just going off of previous years and stuff in league races, I've never been able to win at Dover, and I've always had speed, but something weird happens. It's either like lap cars staying out and I get wrecked and then I can't finish the race, or I remember ISRC a few seasons ago, I ran out of gas at the stage and that ruined my chances at the win there. So I always have speed here, and it's just been something weird that always takes me out of contention. So to be able to cap it off and finally win here is pretty awesome. Obviously, you want to win at places you have speed, and when it's been so long, it was super awesome to get it done, especially the awesome team points night. Me and Vinny had an incredible battle for the win there. I thought I may have thrown it away on that last stop because I didn't fulfill the car, so I was like 5 gallons short, and I didn't know what Vinny did, but his car was turning super good in the center and off the corner, especially when I felt like I was just plowing up the racetrack. So it was really fun to try to play like mind games with everybody and kind of mirror block them in a way. But overall, like, yeah, Vinny was ripping the bottom. So I was like, I just need to stay up top because that's where I'm able to carry speed off. Where when I run the bottom and try to block him, I was getting super tight and almost giving up more time. So it was kind of fun to just play around, do different lines. But then about 5 to go, maybe less than that, I was able to clear Vinny. And that was kind of the car kind of felt like it was coming around, but I think also Vinny had kind of burned his tires up. So we were able to drive away and just look at them as we crossed the finish line there.
Yeah, it was a fantastic run from you, John. Start like Sam said, starting from the very back with that EOL, but able to come up and win this race. I mean, you probably were. I mean, the fastest car on the track, especially against that of Ryan Kelly. But Gavin Rogers, he had some really great long run pace. Were you a little worried if those yellows didn't come out at the times they did?
Yeah, I think they would have been great battles, just like it was with Vinny. And hopefully, I would have been able to just run the outside because he. The thing with Vinny is he would like to run the bottom, and he couldn't run the top as well as Gavin. But I could easily block Gavin by just running his line. So what I was doing was just kind of saving when he was behind me. But he also had really good pace. I always expected him to fall off running that like higher line. But he never did. He just kept getting closer and closer. And at the time when I would start to defend it, start moving up, a caution would come out. So it worked out perfectly for me like that all night. But just going back to the start with the EOL, I was like, oh man, it's gonna suck starting in the back. But it was kind of fun making moves. There were a few super scary moments that could have ended our race pretty early, but we got a perfect caution like right before the stage, and it didn't count as the stage. So I was like, well, I'm in 18th. I might as well just put some tires on and literally roll around the track. And Ross Tatum did the same thing, but he just started blowing the tires off of it, trying to get as many people as he could early. So by the time the caution came out, like 6 laps later, I was still lining up second next to him, even though I was running like 10% pace for those few laps. So basically started on a fresh set of tires, and that was my first taste of the lead up there, and the car just drove so much better. And that UL really helped set us up for the win, honestly.
I mean, John, we got 2 more races before our one and only break of the season, heading to Texas and then Portland. What's confidence in what are you trying to carry from this momentum here tonight into those next couple of races?
Yeah, it's just always great to get a win. And especially with the curse and everything that like Zach and everybody has had after being the champion, it's awesome to break that once again. I mean, we did in the ISRC Truck Series, and now we're doing it here. So, yeah, it's awesome. We got a great looking scheme on this thing. I love the number 1 defending plate on that car. So it's super fun to carry that into each week, and I'm just honestly just loving it because of being the champion last year and just coming in and kind of picking up where we left off, and that's what we're gonna continue to do the rest of the season.
I can't agree more. You certainly have been just building on the way that you ended last season. John, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, I just need to thank everybody at Nightmare Fuel. We had a great run. Jarrett had a bunch of trouble tonight, and he was still able to bounce back to a P5. So some awesome team points. And then I got to thank Justin for the awesome scheme, gridless graphics. This thing's awesome. Love the 1 number font and everything, like I said. So hit him up for a scheme. I got to thank you guys for the broadcast. And that is it for tonight.
Well, that will be the number 1 machine of John Forbes. John, congratulations on getting your first win this season. Enjoy it, and good luck for the rest of the season, and good luck next week at Texas.
Thank you, guys.
As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place to talk to John's teammate, who almost had a chance to get by, but came up shy. Still will take second place. We have Vincent Sora with us. Vinny, you come away second here tonight, and once again, it's John right in front of you. How are you feeling with your performance here this evening?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly feel really good. This is probably by far my worst track on here. And last season when we came here, I struggled so bad, and I feel like I struggle every time we come here. But tonight I finally figured it out. I was really, really fast on the long run. Unfortunately, we didn't really get many of them to where I could really show off my speed there. But yeah, no, it was a heck of a battle with John and I. A lot of fun as always. Unfortunately, it seems like I'm always on the wrong end of it. But yeah, I think I was definitely a little bit quicker than John there. He's so good at defending. I could really get up to his left rear, but it's just so hard to complete a pass whenever you have somebody taking the air off of you on the corner exits. And he's smart enough to know to not let me get to his right rear, because if that would have happened, it probably would have been over. But yeah, I mean, we probably battled. It felt like we battled for 30 laps. It was probably only 10 or 15, but it was still a lot of fun, and I'm really happy with coming away second.
Yeah, it's great seeing teammates finish 1-2 in a race. And I mean, you guys had almost a little bit of a scare out of one of the turns. You kind of got into his left rear quarter panel there and almost looked like it could have ruined a run. I mean, were you a little scared that might have happened if you got into him?
Yeah, I actually told him after the race, I was like, there were a couple times where about halfway through the corner, I was like, all right, I need to commit to this exit, and I'm okay with it resulting in both of us going to the inside wall, because I felt like he probably would have understood and known that, we're just in such a box with these cars. Like the arrow push when you have someone on your door is so severe that you really only get like one or two chances to actually complete a pass here on a guy that has clean air before your tires just completely overheat and fall off. And that's what happened there the last like 3 or 4 laps. I had just raced so hard and gotten stuck on the inside, and I was following him so closely that my tires were just completely cooked there at the end, and I couldn't quite get back to him. But yeah, I think there are definitely a few scary moments from inside the cockpit, but I'm glad that we both came away unscathed.
I mean, Vinny, you're showing great speed here early on this season. We're heading to Texas, Portland before our one and only break of the season. What is your thoughts on these upcoming races we're heading towards?
I feel really, really good. I mean, Texas last season, I think I was probably definitely going to win before an unfortunate accident between James and I. Portland, I've never raced on iRacing, but I know it's a really cool track IRL, and I usually have pretty good road course speed, so I'll just have to put in a little bit of practice and hopefully get a good run there. And then afterwards we have Darlington and Vegas behind the break, and those are really good tracks for me as well. So I think I'm knocking on the door of a couple wins here. I've been close the last couple weeks, so I just need to kind of complete the puzzle and put the final nail in the coffin and go get a couple wins.
Well, cannot wait to see you when that timing hits. Vinny, before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout out.
Yeah, definitely John for racing me hard and clean, as always. Shout out to him for winning. Hopefully next time he's giving me a shout out for winning. Shout out to all the admins over here. I know that last week we had a heck of a time reviewing all the cautions from Rockingham, so I'm glad we don't have as many this week. Shout out to all the drivers that come here and race every week. We had a 42-car field, so that's pretty sick. And then you guys for broadcasting.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great race to call. That's going to be your second place finisher here tonight of Vincent Sora. Enjoy this one, Vinny, and good luck next week at Texas.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
You too. As we move down to third place position, Gavin Rogers talked about his speed in the long run. Even when we talked to Ryan Kelly at the stage break, he kept on harping on it. We have Gavin Rogers coming away third here tonight with his next level motorsports machine. Gavin, you looked fast all night long, but you come away third here tonight. How are you feeling after your performance this evening?
Sam, I'm gonna be honest. I'm kind of speechless. I feel like I can't catch a break. Still got a monkey on my back and just can't seem to get it off me. Last week I feel like I had some really good speed and the strategy cycle just couldn't play my way. And then tonight was probably my best speed I've ever had on any oval in this league so far, and I was really hyped about it. Because the long run speed seemed to be really good, which is the thing that I've been struggling with for a long time, and seemed to have that tonight. And it seemed to be really, really fast compared to a lot of the guys that I tried to learn things from on the long run. Just anytime I seemed to try to get a run or make a move for the lead, a caution would come out, and then that one pit sequence where we were all pitting and there's a bunch of guys that stayed out, I got ahead of John, and I was starting to see that light at the end of the tunnel that I had a shot at the win. And then unfortunately I just got checked up on the top when I was making some moves, and he got an opening on the bottom and took it. And kind of still had some hope on that one of those final restarts, and I realized that Vincent was going to be on my outside, and I saw John take the top, knowing their teammates. They got a good launch, and I figured being behind I think 3-4 cars, it was going to be real tough to come back from that one and get the win. But I guess I can say it's good to have some speed finally. Just hope it continues on to the next couple weeks. Just hate to be that one road course guy. I know I got a couple oval wins, but they're just on some 2-mile tracks. I'd like to win at least a mile and a half or a short track at some point here. Just gonna have to see how it plays out.
Well, Gavin, I know you're a little hard on yourself tonight. Third place is definitely a fantastic finish. And to start this season off, you were top 10 in every single race so far this season. I mean, you got Portland coming up. We know you're a road course ringer, but I know you're still looking for that oval win. What track do you think you might have the best shot at getting that oval win you're so wanting to for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I know Texas is next week. I don't know how that one's gonna play out for me. I know that's not one of my best tracks. Darlington and Vegas are definitely a good one. Bristol, I'm actually pretty excited for because I had really good speed there last time I raced there. Just got caught up in some bad luck again with the pit sequence and got in a wreck. And then after that, it's just kind of a toss up, 2-mile, and then a few tracks that just Talladega Super Speedway, North Wilkesboro. I think they're having an update there, so just gonna have to see how it goes. I'm gonna have to take advantage of the next few oval races because I feel like that's definitely gonna be my strong suit past Texas. Just gotta hope everything can finally plan my way once I have some speed and hopefully pull off a couple wins this season.
I mean, Gavin, like you said, you feel like there's kind of a monkey on your back, but each week that goes in, what's the main thing that you're always trying to focus on at each track and grow as a driver each week that you go in?
Yeah, I've always just been trying to figure out long runs ever since I joined this league. I found out as soon as I joined, these guys were going to be pretty hard to beat on the long runs. I always had the short runs. It kind of showed in qualifying throughout the last couple seasons. Unfortunately, lately my qualifying hasn't been the greatest. Not getting the poles as much as I used to, but still starting up in the front. Just to have to get that long run kind of locked in for a few other tracks, and just have to hope I can get something to play in my hands.
Well, we cannot wait to see when everything finally comes together, like you said. But Gavin, you come away third here tonight. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, just want to start off giving my buddy Nick a shout out, the teammate on the Next Level Motorsports and WSSR. He's been a good help. I appreciate him not just quitting after he got in that incident at the beginning. I know he's got some good speed lately. Really excited to see how that kind of carries forward. I know if he doesn't get in any trouble, I know he can run up towards the front for sure. So as long as he can do that, we can work together pretty well. Want to shout out Sundance Pizza, all the family and friends watching, and of course you guys for doing a great broadcast.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to call. That's going to be our third place finisher here tonight of Gavin Rogers. Congratulations on the finish, Gavin. Enjoy it, and good luck next week at Texas.
Appreciate it, guys.
As we move down from our third place position, we go to fourth place, and we bring ourselves to talk to the 77 of Drew Jew. I know Drew's been wanting to get interviewed whenever he's not in the top three, but Drew, we got you this time around. We saw you have to climb up and down throughout this evening, had a couple of rough ins with teammates earlier on with some big slides from Douglas Newbigging, but they're late. You were challenging your top part of the top four. How are you feeling with your run here tonight?
Yeah, we definitely made the best out of the strategy. Jared and I, we stayed out that one yellow, and we were sinking ships there, and we saved that extra set, so we didn't really have to make that judgment call of taking tires or not. So we saved that extra set. We were able to drive to the field, and I just killed my right front just a little too much. I wanted to try and battle with Vincent and John there, but I knew that it was better just to let Gavin go and see if they would make contact or anything like that. But happy to get a fourth place finish. Ran decently in the stage. Finally qualified up front. Gave myself a chance to get stage points. And like I said, we made the best of a bad day, honestly, I would say.
Yeah, last season we always saw you a lot of the time starting the rear and making your way all the way to the front, even getting some wins doing so. But seeing you start up front and still finishing up front has gotta feel good. Any strategies to help get your teammates back up and running with you in the front? Either you guys looking at changing anything or working together in future tracks?
Yeah, I think this year for our team, it's been just a lot of unluckiness. I don't want to blame it all on that, but Doug got wrecked by a lap car, Ben having computer issues, Seth kind of made the wrong strategy call, and then Tanner getting caught up in that wreck down the backstretch, which was just super unfortunate. So, just a lot of bad luck. I felt like I was the only person on our team who had any luck. Um, Maybe making a different strategy calls, but the speed is there. We just just gotta continue to run where we're at, and just hope the finishes come to us.
I mean, it's kind of tacking on the fact of teamwork. Lucky Ducks seems to be the biggest organization that keeps building out, bringing in new faces and names to the WSSR VRS Cup Series. How much is that helping you throughout the rest of the season? Do you feel like bringing in new guys and having new thoughts on how to tackle tracks is helping you, or are you kind of going into each race on your own, trying to learn on your own for each race that we go to?
Yeah, I think bringing in Ben was a pretty it's a pretty good thing. He hosts the sessions, practice sessions, and gives feedback on what he feels the car is doing before the races. And then Seth is really good at all these mile and a half and short tracks. So having him and Doug, who are really good at tire saving, it's definitely a lot of help. And when you have 6, 7, 8 cars. It's nice to know that you're not going to get raced as hard when you're racing around those people. So there's definitely a lot of benefits. There's also the one downside is there's a little bit more of a chance that you unfortunately get hit by your teammate or get wrecked by your teammate. But I think we've been doing pretty good about racing each other cleanly and avoiding that.
I would say you've done a pretty good job as well. Well, Drew, it's been awesome to see you run here tonight and come away with a 4th place finish with being on that off strategy. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Oh yeah, shout out to you guys like always. It's always lovely talking to you guys. So I want to talk to you guys every single week. I'll put my name in the hat every single time. So shout out to Zach and everybody who runs this league. And then shout out to Meals for Wheels and for Cosman for making this beautiful paint, and looking forward to Texas next week.
Well, that will be your 77 machine of Drew Jua coming away 4th here tonight. Congratulations on your run, Drew. Enjoy it, and good luck next week at Texas.
Thank you, guys.
As that will finish up our interviews here this evening. It certainly was a roller coaster of different strategies being thrown, but at the end of the day, it was all the top drivers when you look at points. A top 4 in points on that last restart were in the top 4 as one of your biggest movers of the race. Going to be 13th place finisher of GT Irizarry, as he will take our Whiplash SimCam's biggest mover of the day up 25 positions as he started 38th, and comes away 13th. Congratulations to that 14 team. As we take a look at our unofficial results for tonight's race, kind of already ran down your top 10 and where they finished. John Forbes taking the win. Second goes to Vince Sora, Gavin Rogers third. 4th, we find Gavin Rogers with Drew Jua, with 4th going to Drew Jua. Jared Tallmadge going to take 5th. 6th goes to Ryan Kelly. Brian McCann 7th. 8th is Chris Stitz. Shane Tarian, I know he's got some family and friends dealing with some issues. He was driving with a heavy heart here tonight. It was kind of a rough one for him, but he'll come away 9th for the 9 machine, and 10th place finishing is Larry Yingling. Rest of the order, if we take a closer look at, I mean, it was a lot of different strategy calls, Richard, and that's kind of why we saw the big switch up and change up there late.
Yeah, the strategy calls for tires definitely was one to pay attention to. I mean, you saw the difference in what new tires could do. Not only did it get you through the field fast, but it also caused major traffic jams for the faster cars trying to get around the older tires. So it was a lot of fun to watch. There was a lot of nervous moments also, but I mean, it was overall a fantastic race tonight. Douglas Newbegin coming out 14th after some issues he had. Christopher Norris coming off his suspension last week is finishing 15th, so that's a great finish for him to come back some drivers I was kind of expecting to see further up. I mean, you have Cedric Hunter back in 26. I was hoping to see him further up, and same for Seth Noel back in 28. So Ross Tatum also, who we saw major charge up in stage 1, finishing back in 30th. But fantastic race by all the drivers. A lot more cautions than what I was expecting, but nonetheless, the different strategy calls with tires, old tires and new tires, really made for a very entertaining end of the race.
Certainly was. I'll give an excuse for Cedric. He might be still coming off of the fun high of getting married this past weekend. So congratulations to Cedric and family and co, as they got to enjoy that celebration. And for the rest of the field, certainly a wild time for themselves. They will come back next week for Texas. But we also have got more racing action for the drivers of the ISRC Lyriar Productions Truck Series. They are back Monday night, continuing their chase run. Who can catch up to Jarrett Talmadge, because he has been on a tear? John Forbes takes the win this past Monday at Phoenix, but they head to Darlington. We've seen a lot of drivers that have had success there at Darlington. Who could step up? Who will fall down? You'll have to check out Monday night for race 3 of 5 in the chase for the ISRC Truck Series. For us, we'll be back next week for Texas. But Richard, any final thoughts before we call it an evening here tonight?
Oh man, Texas, I think, is going to be a wild race to watch next week. It's your typical intermediate speedway, but the difference is turn 1 and 2 is completely different than turn 3 and 4. Turn 1 and 2's got a little bit more of a less banking as 3 and 4. So it's going to be a wild race to watch. It's going to be exciting. And then the week after that, we'll be at Portland, which is a new track that has been introduced into iRacing. And the drivers decided they wanted to go there, take to the road course of Portland International Raceway. We'll see who we can see come out on top on a new road course for these drivers. But it's going to be an exciting week next week, and I hope to see a lot more people tune in and get some more excitement and fireworks that we saw tonight carry over to next week as well.
Can't wait for it. I know for us, I'm curious on if we're going to see another new Lucky Ducks Motorsports driver show up, or will we stay the same? Could we have enough drivers for knockout qualifying? We'll have to find out and see next week at Texas. But for tonight, I want to say thank you to our sponsors for VRS, that being the Virtual Racing School, for the title sponsor of the WSSR Cup Series, to GTR Simulators, Trophy Smack, Sim Precision Prints, and for our camera providers here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, Whiplash Sim Cams, for all the support that we get on Wednesday nights as well, support on Monday nights. Thank you to all the amazing sponsors. This has been a fun one this evening. John Forbes Jr. back into victory lane, last season's champion, rocking the number 1 number. Well, he takes the number 1 spot here at Dover. But for us here this evening, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Richard Wolsifer, as well as Robert Moyer Jr., thank you so much for joining with us on your Wednesday night. It was a privilege to give you the call. Can't wait for next week. It's going to be a fun one at Texas. Who's going to bring the madness? That track for the WSSR has brought in some spectacular finishes. You do not want to miss it. But if you can't wait until then for more racing action, don't worry, we got you covered. Monday night, more chase action with the trucks. It's the ISRC Truck Series. We'll see you then, as it should be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.